Of San Antonio's Alamo, a night to punctuate legacy. Stanford's explosive Bryce Love, hoping to be healthy tonight, facing off against Kenny Hill and TCU. They hope to remember the finale fondly. Big 12 and Pac-12 runners-up, and even the meek are a little fiery for the Cardinal and Frogs tonight. And welcome inside the Alamo Dome for the Valero Alamo Bowl, part of Capital One Bowl Mania. This is the 25th anniversary of this game, and what a terrific matchup we have for you. Stanford going for its 10th win, taking on TCU out of the Big 12. David Shaw and the Cardinal hoping to get a 10-win season for the 6th time. They've done it in 5 of the previous 6 years. The Cardinal coming off a narrow loss in the Pac-12 championship game against Southern California and hoping to end the season on a winning note here in San Antonio tonight. Glad to have you with us from San Antonio. Reese Davis, David Pollack, and Joey Galloway here. And when you talk about Stanford, you talk about Bryce Love. The guy's been explosive all season long, but for much of the latter stages of the season, Joey, he did so on a bad ankle. We'll see how healthy he is tonight.
Yeah, number one, Bryce Love, thanks for playing. In an era where guys don't play in bowl games, if you're not in the playoff, the stars sit out. Bryce Love is going tonight. He's not 100%. I watched him in warm-ups. Didn't look great, but we've seen Bryce Love limp his way against Washington for 30 carries, 166 yards, and 3 touchdowns. His 85% is as good as a lot of running backs in the country, 100%. He's the heart and soul of this team, one of the toughest kids in the country. They have to get him the ball early in this game and let him get established and warmed up.
You see the records that are well within reach for Bryce tonight. Should he get 27 yards in his first 3 carries, he would be the fastest to reach 2,000 yards in a single season, but that will be a tall order, certainly against TCU. And as Gary Patterson leads his team onto the field here in the Alamo Dome, familiar surroundings. It was 2 years ago in this game that TCU matched the biggest comeback in bowl history, falling behind Oregon 31-0, coming back to beat the Ducks in triple overtime. They're coming in here riding a stout run defense, David.
There's no secret, and Gary Patterson's done it for a long time. They've got beefier up front with this TCU defensive line, and it's made a big difference. They play exceptionally hard. They're very smart. They're all over the field. You're going to see this defense. They've given up less than 3 yards a carry this season against Bryce Love, who's getting 8 yards a carry. So Bosin, Banagoo, those guys up front, can they make plays and make life tough on Bryce Love?
The tree's already been out wreaking havoc. The farewell for Kenny Hill. Bryce Love getting set to go. Stanford and TCU, kickoff not far away.
You're watching Capital One Bowl Mania.
Welcome back to San Antonio. Waiting kickoff between Stanford and TCU. Quint Kesnick with us tonight down on the sideline. Quint.
Yeah, Reese, these two programs are defined by the strong character and personality of their head coach. David Shaw has been the head coach and play caller at Stanford for 7 years now. Off the field, he's an avid reader. On it, he's a man of few words. You will see very little emotion from Coach Shaw. He's an analytical mind who loves the chess match. For TCU, it's Gary Patterson, 17th year, known as a defensive mastermind. He combines intensity with a sense of humor. He's a perfectionist who likes to play the guitar, and who knows, maybe he'll make a halftime wardrobe change as he did 2 years ago.
You know what, Quint, that has been the big talk of this week, is what would Gary come out in? And we see he's coming out in purple. It was purple that he switched to at halftime of the Alamo Bowl game against Oregon after they'd been shut out. No points in the black shirt, but now in the purple they had 41 second half and overtime points and won the game.
So this is what it's come to. Forget uniforms for the players. Now we're talking about coaching wardrobes.
Well, Gary's a superstitious guy, you know that. David Shaw, meanwhile, as I mentioned, going for his 6th 10-win season. You know, in the 104 years of Stanford football prior to his arrival, they only had 4 10-win seasons. He can get 6 in 7 years. Horned Frogs won the toss. They will defer to the second half. So we'll get underway in San Antonio with Cole Bunce putting toe to leather, and a dangerous return man is Cameron Scarlett, but they'll keep the ball away from him, and the Cardinal will have the first possession on its own 25-yard line. And here is the quarterback, KJ Costello, making his 7th start for Stanford.
And he's really infused this team. He's given them energy. He's given them an identity since he's taken over. He makes a lot of really smart decisions. He's got to be more consistent, but Joey, he'll give you bombs away now. He'll throw the deep ball.
He has to play well. In the 2 losses that they've had in the last 5 games, he's only completed 45% of his balls. And we talk about Bryce Love and how important he is to this offense. Costello has to make plays down the field to take some of the pressure off the run game.
Costello is a guy that they put a lot on. They'll give him 3 plays in the huddle up to him at the line of scrimmage to get him into the right one. Oftentimes the right play for Stanford is making sure that number 20 touches the ball. That's Bryce Love. Costello going to throw on first down. A quick completion. A short gain there, and the pickup is by J.J. Arcega-Whiteside. Stanford has an advantage in the size of their outside receivers, and as they always do, a number of potent and dangerous tight ends that they'll use and try to get matchups.
And I love easy throws early for quarterbacks, especially in bowl games. You've had a lot of time off. Let your quarterback get warmed up in game, get his rhythm going early with a quick 4-yard pass.
There's Costello making his checks. You're going to see a lot of these bunch formations and also the toss to Love, and there is not much there, though. Bryce spins ahead and gets maybe 1.5 yards, close to 2, before he's knocked down by Ennis Gaines in on the tackle. Ennis starting tonight for Ridwan Asahaku, who is out with injury. Gaines is a sophomore from Beaumont they're very high on. And the first 3rd down of the night coming for the Cardinal. Been pretty average on 3rd down situations this year, about 42%. That's barely in the top 50 in the country, about halfway through the Pac-12. Need a little less than 5.
And this is hard because this isn't necessarily a passing down always for Stanford. They will run the football.
And they do, and Love looking for room, and he's not going to get it. He's going to lose a couple, and it'll be 3 and out for Stanford on their first possession. Matt Boesen, known for a pass rushing ability, makes the stop on the run.
Most of the time you see 3rd and medium situations, you do 3 down linemen, 4 down linemen in the game, making sure you realize 3rd down situations. They still want to give the ball to Bryce Love. Let him punctuate one of those 5, 15, 20-yard runs. It's not always a passing down. TCU had a month to figure that out. They were dialed in for it.
Now this dude punting for Stanford, let me tell you, he is a weapon. Jake Bailey, who is an aspiring pilot just a few hours away from his license, can knock them into the stratosphere. A dangerous return man to Cavante Turpin back, and that's just a little warm-up boot.
Prior to the snap, called start. Offense number 21. 5-yard penalty. Remains 4th down.
Bailey's averaging about 45.5 yards per punt. False start going to move it back a little bit and test out that leg. I know how much you guys love the specialist. This guy is one of the 5 fastest guys on the team, according to timing. He's faked a punt this year and picked up a first down.
What's that say about your team, though, Rich? I mean,
he's legit. He's legit 4.5. Had a 106-yard pick six.
Any football team when your punter is that high in speed, you don't have a lot of team speed.
Bryce Love is a sprint champion, Joey.
He was?
He was.
That's a boom.
Bailey unleashes one that drives Turpin all the way back to his 20-yard line. But now Cavante's got room and looking for an alley, and Stanford is able to close quickly. A return of about 10 yards after the 56-yard punt off the foot of Bailey. Kenny Hill making his final appearance for TCU. He's had a long and winding road, a terrific high school career, started his college career, Texas A&M, followed Johnny Manziel, trouble followed, went to junior college and then transferred to TCU, has started 24 games for the Horned Frogs this year. And Hill has been effusive in his thanks and his praise of Gary Patterson for giving him a second chance after things went sideways at Texas A&M. And Kenny wanted to rewrite his legacy this season and make sure that people knew he was a solid quarterback, and he's had a very, very good senior season. Kyle Hicks getting the first carry. Hicks going to be the primary ball carrier tonight with Darius Anderson out with an injury.
And you see the first run by TCU is between the tackles. And if you're Stanford, you're happy that they're keeping it between the tackles. Out in spaces where you have issues.
Hill is a dual threat. He nudges his way up to the 35. It'll bring up 3rd down and 6 as we take a look at tonight's Keys to the Game, brought to you by Franklin American Mortgage Company.
And both of them wanting to play different styles. When you're Stanford, you want to impose your style, your physicality. And now you got TCU right here. What do they want to do? They
Get out in space.
Get out in
they
space.
want to spread these guys out. First 2 runs on 1st and 2nd down between the tackles. We'll see if they go outside the tackles to see if they can get these linebackers isolated against athletic guys out in space.
The slot guys is where they're looking in. The ball is deflected off of Ty Slanina's hands, almost picked off, but both teams go 3 and out here. Justin Reed, the fine safety for the Cardinal, who has 5 interceptions on the year, was on the defense.
That's a surprising series to me by TCU. They didn't go wide at all. We've seen they like a lot of screen passes, a lot of tunnel screens to wide receivers. Those are 3 plays toward the middle of the field. If you're Stanford, you're pretty excited.
He had a month to prepare. Thinking, hey, let's break some tendencies.
Adam Nunez
Fake
rolling. He's going to fake it. Nunez, and he's not going to get it. And the gamble from Gary Patterson does not pay off. An excellent play by Brandon Simmons to make the stop for Stanford.
And he's an animal on coverage units anyways, but what a great job. Watch him come off the edge. He's going to be on the right side of your screen, take on the big run. Look at that. Uses his hands, get a big old offensive lineman off of him. Watch this. Look at that. Unbelievable job making a big play.
And that's not one guy away from breaking it. Stanford had 2 or 3 other guys in position. They were prepared. We always see trick plays in bowl games. Stanford very prepared early for the fake punt.
And now great field position after the stop on the fake punt, and we'll see if Costello might take a shot here. He's very good at throwing the ball downfield, and Trevor Spates at running back good in pass protection. Costello wanted to take the shot, pulls it down, and just throws it in the general direction of his receivers, looking for Donald Stewart. It was Corey Bethley, the freshman from Katy, Texas, who was all up in KJ's grill.
And I tell you what, he's a guy that makes this TCU defense better and takes him from really good to great, because now you got size on the inside. He's a true freshman. He's already 302 pounds. In the past couple seasons, they haven't had those big boys on the inside. Having guys like that really makes this defense not just a good defense, a great defense. You got to.
Now 2nd down and 10. Love behind Nick Wilson. There hasn't been much running room so far, though you saw just how quick those inactive those feet are. Nick Orr on the stop against Bryce Love. It is one of the things that Bryce came into this season filling the substantial shoes of Christian McCaffrey, that Ron Gould, the running backs coach, told him, he said, look, I see a talented guy. I need to see a great player. Wanted him to understand blocking schemes more, how to set up guys, not just rely on his speed. Love to the sideline, and Spates has returned. Costello, good time, throws it a little high. Was looking for Dalton Schultz, one of the tight ends. There is a flag that flew. We have a false start, I believe, on the Cardinal. I beg your pardon, rather than the false starts, formation. Kim Williamson heading our officiating crew, this group out of the SEC tonight. Our replay official is George Raniger. There is David Shaw, whose team was unable to move the ball after taking advantage of stopping the fake punt. So now Stanford is going to try the field goal. This is going to be a 52-yard attempt off the foot of Jet Toner. Toner has been outstanding. He was hitting from about 50+ in warm-ups. Good kicking conditions inside the Alamo Dome. On its way, and it's going to be wide to the left. And TCU gets away with the botched fake punt. Horned Frogs will have it back when you come back.
The Valero Alamo Bowl is fueled by Valero. Visit San Antonio. Plan your trip at visitsanantonio.com. And Franklin American Mortgage. It all begins with home.
City of San Antonio has been great host. Good to see the Stanford band allowed to travel again these days. The tree wreaking havoc in pregame already. Pep rally on San Antonio Riverwalk. Both teams involved in that. Bands in river barges on that Riverwalk, one of the great tourist attractions in the state of Texas. So TCU has it back. Kyle Hicks at running back. Kenny Hill gonna try to go somewhere. Got some running room if he wants. Instead, throws it back into the middle, and it's intercepted by Frank Buncombe. Buncombe inside the 40. Still on his feet. He's going to be hit and dragged down inside the 25. So for the second time tonight, Stanford has great field position, this time off a Kenny Hill miscue.
And you can't believe what you see all the time. Watch this. Watch Stanford late. Watch them rotate up, and you can see they're going to bring the nickel off the corner, off the edge. Now they play safety back deep, reading the cornerback's eye, or reading the QB's eyes. And obviously, Joey, we talked about this watching tape of Kenny Hill. Sometimes these kind of throws off his back foot, what does he do?
He throws bad balls when he throws off his back foot, but in this situation, run the football. That is a terrible read. Take off. He had no one in front of him. And when you talk to Stanford, their fear is Kenny Hill's ability to extend plays with his feet and gain yards running the football. And that is one that Kenny Hill would love to have back. That is essentially their second turnover of the game. Yep. If you talk about the botched fake punt, Stanford has to capitalize.
Tight ends all over the place, and Bryce Love with his fourth carry, and he's going to have about 3 yards. TCU's leading tackler, Traven Howard, there to knock him down.
And that's what we're used to seeing from Stanford. They just said, okay, we're gonna get in here, we're gonna see the pound game, see how this goes. Now they change up personnels and they make you think. And now look at all the speed they just brought in. You just mentioned all the O linemen and tight ends. Now they bring in some wide receivers and make you think really quickly on the fly.
Empty backfield with Love at the top of your screen. Has not been a receiving threat this year, only 6 catches. Costello not looking his way. He does complete it to Irwin, and Trenton Irwin spun down at about the 16. He needs to get between the 14 and 13 for the first down. It'll bring up 3rd down and short. Stanford brings the tight ends back in. Love behind a fullback. Fullback is like a unicorn or a dinosaur in college football these days.
What is that?
Love has it. Love finally has a crease for the first time. Love stays on his feet. Bryce Love pushing, driving, touchdown. Lost his headgear, never lost his feet.
And one of the most impressive parts about Bryce Love is his toughness. He's 195 pounds, as they say, maybe adding a couple pounds, but the ability to run the ball between tackles, carry guys into the end zone, runs behind his shoulder pads, and that's just strength at the end to get it in the end zone.
And some help from his friends.
Which is perfectly legal
You're
nowadays.
dang right, it is now.
15-yard touchdown run for Love, his 18th rushing touchdown of the season, and Stanford takes advantage of the Kenny Hill miscue. Toner for the point after. He is true. And the Horned Frogs wanted to get off to a quicker start than they did 2 years ago in this bowl game. So far, that has not been the case. Bryce Love bounced that umpire out of the way, lose the headgear, score a touchdown.
Touchdown pass for Baker Mayfield. Jalen Hurts, he's going to walk it in on play action. Kelly Bud, touchdown.
It's Chubby time in Athens, Georgia. New Year's Day, national semifinal in the Rose Bowl to see Baker Mayfield. He's trying to set an FBS single season record, averaging nearly 12 yards every time he attempts a pass. And Bryce Love is under his average right now, but this would be a single season record if he stays in that neighborhood of more than 8 yards per carry. Bryce Love has already made his presence felt with a 15-yard touchdown run. He is known for 50-yard runs, had a dozen of those this year, but that 15-yarder was impressive as well. With more yards coming after contact. Jake Bailey to kick off. This is a virtual guaranteed touchback. 64 of his 76 kickoffs this year have been touchbacks.
It's got to be a jinx.
Might be returnable by Turpin. Kavontae Turpin looking for running room. And this stays intact. No Stanford kickoff has been returned past the 30-yard line all year.
That's pretty impressive.
Yeah,
now, there's only
you're
been
full of
6, right?
Impressive kicking stats.
Only been 6 so far, but
And we've seen TCU get off to bad starts. Last time we saw them against Oklahoma in the Big 12 championship game, they fumbled the ball in the red zone, and their first start, the first touchdown for Oklahoma was a fumble by TCU running to the end zone. And this is a bad start, as bad as you could ask for TCU. Started with the 3 and out. They try a fake punt, which didn't go well. That's essentially a turnover. And then Kenny Hill just an awful mistake where he knows when he looks at film now he should have run that football.
Hill had cut down on the interceptions this year. That was just his 7th of the season. They've done a really good job of giving him safe throws. He made the last one unsafe. This one is very safe. Turpin has it in the open field, and an excellent open field tackle. Here on the play is Bobby Okereke, who really starting to get more freedom in this Stanford defense to use his instincts and react.
Man, a heck of a job. Turpin's one of the fastest players in college football. Go meet him where he's going. Look at that. Shoulders facing the sidelines. Gave him the dead leg. It didn't work. Tackling in space, Joe, we talked about one of the points of emphasis for Stanford. That's a win for them right there.
And it sets up a second and long. And you got to be successful on first down to take the rhythm of the TCU offense off their track.
Keep it on the ground with Hicks. Not much doing there. Harrison Phillips, who's now over 100 tackles for the season. No interior defensive lineman in the country has more tackles. In fact, only one guy listed as a defensive lineman had more tackles this year. Boston College's Zach Allen's a defensive end, but I think now with a couple of tackles, Harrison's passed him too.
He just eats people.
It's
he
remarkable.
Literally just fires off, hits people, wrestles them for a little bit, throws them off, and makes play after play after play.
Hill taking a deep shot, had a man out there, threw it short, and it worked out for him. Jalen Rager, the freshman, makes the big play. He underthrew him, but Rager was able to come back to it and catch it, and it's the first big positive play of the night for the Frogs. They're going to try to go quickly after the 42-yard pickup.
Got to make plays like that. It doesn't have to be great throws. You got man coverage on the outside, throw it up, let your playmaker make a play for you, get people out of the box.
Hill, quick slant. Diars has it. John Diars inside the 20, and the Frogs have answered and moved back into the red zone.
And you can see the deep ball throw. Hill was leaning back when he threw it, and that's why it was short. When he's finishing on his left side like he did on his slant, he throws the ball as well as anyone in the country.
Hill on the boot. Steps out of a tackle. Now throws another interception, and it was almost... he dropped it in the end. How lucky was Kenny Hill? And for the second time tonight, there's running room to the outside, and he throws back across his body into the middle of the field.
There wasn't a player anywhere that thought he was going to throw this football. Everyone thought he was going to take off for a run, and I truly believe it caught the safety off guard. I mean, this looks like a clear run. He breaks a tackle, no one's left to contain. Simply run the football.
This may be a case of Kenny pressing a little bit in his final game. TCU trying to make big plays. He's very fortunate. Okereke let that one squirt through, and boy, that was stuffed out by Peter Kalambayi. Kalambayi not having it on the screen.
What an awesome job. All that stuff to look at. You got a guy coming in the backfield for you to look at, stays home. Look at this, reads the screen, watch him slip the blocker, come right in there and make a big-time play. Great eyes, great job flying in there. More importantly, just great discipline. You don't trick Stanford's defense most of the time. They're going to be in position. Great job.
3rd down and 13. Hill, time, overthrows. He was looking for Shewo Alanalua.
On a 9-yard route. That drives you nuts. I mean, that absolutely drives you nuts. And listen, Kenny Hill has a ton of ability. He's a dual threat guy that can make some big time plays. 3rd and 12, you can't throw a 9-yard out. He's got to be smarter than that. He's got to give at least these guys a chance to make a play on the outside.
So Cole Bunce, a sophomore from San Jose, not too far away from the Stanford campus, a TCU kicker, will try to give the Frogs their first points of the night. This is going to be a 38-yard attempt. Bunce puts it on the way. And it's right down the middle. So TCU salvages 3 points. They were very, very close to squandering another opportunity when Okereke just couldn't hang on. San Antonio Riverwalk. Great destination for visitors and locals alike. The Valero Alamo Bowl, 25th year of this great game in San Antonio, and Stanford has had the better of it. And the first 9 minutes, or almost 9, the Frogs have had to fear mistakes. Kenny Hill's thrown an interception and a near interception in the end zone. A botched fake punter, but it wasn't really botched, it was just stopped deep in their own territory. The Frogs still only down 7-3. Here's Cameron Scarlett, among the top 20 kickoff return men in the country. And Scarlett gives Stanford good field position up to about the 30-yard line as we check in with Chris Cotter.
Didn't need a pass.
Hey Chris, how about this? A couple of coaches known for being able to defend the option, Bronco Mendenhall and Rocky Long at San Diego State, both kind of got eaten up by the Army and against San Diego State and the Navy today. Virginia just flat didn't show up. Good run defense again. Hit for a loss is Love. Joseph Broadnax, a junior from Dallas, making the stop for Patterson's defense. David, you alluded to it, some size inside. Broadnax, a veteran backup, but Ross Blacklock, number 90. Corey Bethley, 94. Bethley's in there right now. Blacklock is not. They've got some bodies to rotate up front.
And just bigger ones than they've had in the past.
A lot of backups on that defensive front right now for the Frogs. Costello on second and long finds his man Connor Weddington. Weddington over the middle, and it'll be a first down.
And they like to use him as a go-deep guy. He's a big playmaker. He's the next in line, I think, for big playmakers. Connor Weddington, he's a true freshman. Look at him. Little angle route inside, isolated on the linebacker. A pass to the running backs. How come you don't see that to Bryce Love, by the way?
And it's a great setup. You catch TCU in man-to-man, and you have your playmaker against a linebacker, and Weddington makes a nice move to the outside and breaks across. Costello takes the hit, stands in, and completes the ball.
18-yard pickup. As Costello's hit 3 of his first 5. Here's Love. He's got a crease. Love has a first down. And Love's inside the 35-yard line as he inches closer to the Stanford single-season rushing record. Christian McCaffrey ran for 2,019 yards. Bryce picked up 21 on that one.
And Bryce Love looks better running than he does walking. When he gets up off the ground and walking back to the huddle, you can see that limp, you can see that ankle, but you can't tell when he puts that foot in the ground and takes off upfield with his shoulder square, hits the hole as quick as anyone.
And by the way, Love over 2,000 yards now for the season with 37 yards. Banagoo stopping him for a short game there as we check in with Quint.
Yeah, David Shaw's biggest concern was contact. Bryce Love really hasn't been touched in a month, and he was just worried about ball security, being tackled for the first time in a month, and how he'd react to contact. He's still a little gimpy, but not when he has that ball in his hands.
He's been gimpy for weeks. It's just fine. I mean, it's the most amazing thing ever watching him down the stretch of the season. Limp off, retape, come back out.
Seriously, watch him jog.
Play.
He looks worse jogging on and off the field than he does when he has the ball in his hands.
That power toss to him.
How about this old school formation here? Everybody in tight, nothing for Love. He is stopped for no gain. It'll bring up third down, about 6.5. Traven Howard was the first guy there.
But I'll say this, he's had, several weeks off to prepare now. He used to limp off the field every time he left the field. Late in the season, he was limping every time. Now you see him. It's not as bad of a limp. It's still a little bit.
I was going to say, that's a limp.
But he was hobbling for a while.
And he hobbled the 3 touchdowns against Washington. We've seen him hobbled before. He continues to go, and he's 195 and runs the ball between tackles as tough as anyone out there.
David Shaw told us yesterday, he said, I've got a conscience. I feel guilty. I'd tell Bryce, you're done. And he said, no, Coach, I'm good. And he said he'd go for a 50-yard run. He said, I guess he's done. Costello feeling some heat, finds Weddington again, who slips a tackle, and Stanford's inside the 20. And how about the move from the freshman Weddington it was TCU in space that we were wondering about, but instead it's Weddington who's made a couple of plays, making guys miss in the open field.
And it was a bad throw. Costello threw it behind him. Look, he breaks out. He's got him right here. He throw to the sideline and go make a play, but great job adjusting to the football, making a guy miss.
Now Stanford inside the 20. Trevor Spates at running back. Spates from the state of Texas, from McAllen. He had a whole gaggle of family members here. Enjoyed visiting with them yesterday. Costello steps up in the pocket, throws to the back of the end zone. Arcega-Whiteside is out there, and J.J. Arcega-Whiteside has a touchdown.
Watch his first read. First read to the flats, not there, reshuffles his feet, and then drops a dime in the corner of the end zone. Great job by Costello going through his progression quickly.
And great job by the offensive line. If you let your quarterback pump fake, bring it down, and still step forward to throw that ball, your offensive line is doing a nice job of giving him protection and space to read the coverage.
Costello took advantage of the opportunity when Keller Christ was injured this year, and Costello, highly recruited guy, USC and Michigan both after him, and he was 3 for 3, 48 yards, and a tight spiral, spinning the magic beam.
Just a great job adjusting. I mean, he wanted to go. He wanted to go to the flats first. Great job seeing the coverage, making a big play. Throw it to the big fella. I mean, him on the outside, throw a jump ball to him, throw it anywhere near him. Arcega's going to catch it.
Well, Costello is from the same high school as Carson Palmer, Santa Margarita Catholic. He broke Carson's career passing yardage record with more than 8,200 yards as a high school quarterback. He's been very patient here and working his way into the lineup now in his sophomore season, trying to put a hammerlock on this job for next year because Stanford continues to attract and recruit top-notch quarterbacks.
Every year. It always happens, and they develop them as good as anybody in the country. But you know what else about this kid? Reese, he's got some juice to him. Like, he gets fired up. You could tell the guys respond to him really well. They did not have an identity early in the season. If you watch Stanford, you were like, who is this? I mean, Bryce Love was making plays, but quarterback play was bad. He's galvanized them, and you could tell now this team moving forward, young team, is going to be a handful in the Pac-12.
We're talking to Tavita Pritchard, who is going to take over as offensive coordinator for Stanford. Been the quarterback's coach, former Stanford quarterback. Mike Bloomgren, who is coaching in this game, be moving on to Rice. He was talking about how they were living the lives. TCU with the trick play. They had a man lying down in the end zone, and Devontae Turpin lateraled it back to Jalen Rager, and
Rager lateraled it to himself.
Well, if he did,
and didn't catch it.
There is a flag. Rager was hiding in the end zone, lying down on his stomach. But there. So TCU has broken out all of the tricks.
Illegal forward pass. Return team number 25. The penalty is 5 yards in spot of the foul.
They're saying that Turpin's pass went forward.
Did it?
I didn't think it did.
Here's Rager laying down
see, there's
in the end zone.
See
so he's 2 yards deep.
Now, Turpin has a couple touchdown passes.
He throws it at the 8. He catches it at the 10. Yeah, that's a
sort
good
of
call.
Floated on him.
You know why I was hoping it wasn't backwards, Reese? So you could swallow your stat about not having them return a ball out to the so-and-so yard line.
Well, why do you think they're coming up with all these tricks?
Yeah. Obviously a great play, but you can see he throws it about the 8-yard line. Clearly catches it at 10 or 11. Yeah, just chilling. I'm purple. Oh, let's go. And, you know, this has to be planned on this kick return in the purple end zone. You can't do it in Stanford's end zone. Obviously, you can't hide him on the other side. And now it obviously sets you back inside the 5.
You know, sometimes when we talk to these teams before, as we see Kenny Hill roll and shovel pass to Hicks, going to pick up a few. Sometimes, even though we are very trustworthy guys, coaching staff will mislead you.
Yes.
TCU said, well, we don't think it would be wise to try a lot of trick plays against Stanford because they're a very smart team. They've already tried 2 in the first quarter.
Yeah, and they looked smart on the first. Yeah, they looked smart on the first one. They had 4 guys out there waiting to tackle the punter. So he was right. They are smart.
That one looked great, by the way. If he would just thrown it backwards, it was going to be a big gain. But a lot of bowl season, you got a lot of time to prepare.
maybe too much time sometimes. Stanford completely prepared to stop Kyle Hicks right at the 10-yard line. He'll be about 4 yards short of the first down.
Yeah, and I don't see that being a good play for TCU in this game. When you talk about Phillips, you talk about these guys in the middle.
Look at him.
How are you going to move this guy? Okay,
two guys.
He swims past one. The other one's like, I need help.
Yeah, you can't pull guys around him.
Running between tackles against Stanford, that plays into their hand and what they want to do on defense.
Final half minute of the first quarter. One that has been dominated by the Cardinal and by TCU mistakes. Kenny Hill has thrown a couple away when he's had running room before. Justin Reed is there to hit him and stop him on what will be the final play of the first quarter, and will bring up a fourth down as we have a Stanford player down. That is Curtis Robinson, the outside linebacker. And Curtis, who's had a solid season, been an important part of this Stanford defense, and he's attempting to sit up now, and certainly that's great news. So Stanford will open the second quarter with a 14-3 lead. Cardinal about to get the ball back. Welcome back to the Valero Alamo Bowl, part of Capital One Bowl Mania. Second quarter about to start here in San Antonio. Stanford with a 14-3 lead. Cardinal about to get the ball back. Pressure on the punter. This is a low line drive punt, but fair caught by Weddington. Stanford will be at about their 48-yard line. Capital One Bowl Mania continues Friday on ESPN. The Belk Bowl between Wake Forest and Texas A&M, 1 p.m. Eastern. Tell you what, Wake Forest quarterback John Wolford's had a terrific season. 25 touchdown passes, top 10 QBR. The one and only game of the Jeff Banks era. Interim coach for Texas A&M. That'll be followed by the Franklin American Mortgage Music City Bowl, Kentucky and Northwestern. You know, Justin Jackson, 20 yards away from finishing his career in the top 10 all-time in rushing yards.
It's been a beast.
Bryce Love just about that from the Stanford single-season record set by Christian McCaffrey. Needs 9 yards, may get it right here. Love has 10, has 12, 13, and there. They're going to give him about 11, I guess, but that should be enough to get him past McCaffrey for the single-season rushing record.
Look at the first move. Look at that. Look how quick that is. He takes the ball, penetration right away, right in his face. He makes moves with his shoulders square, quickly, gets downhill in a hurry, and that's why he's made so many big plays and set the freshman record now, or Stanford record, excuse me.
Opening moments of the second quarter, Costello. This is his strong suit, throwing it deep, but he throws it right into traffic, and it is picked off. Nick Orr with his third interception of the year, and that was not the smartest move by Costello. He was looking for Donald Stewart, but a lot of Horned Frogs back there.
And this is a route with two receivers in it. And if you're TCU and you're thinking we only got to cover two guys because Bryce Love doesn't go off for passes, this is another situation where because Bryce Love is not in your pass game, when you do pass it, you only got two guys out there and 4 or 5 guys covering. That is a terrible decision by Costello in this situation. But again, it's the question mark. If you do not get Bryce Love involved in your pass game, the minute that the coverage sees him not running it, everyone can drop back and play coverage.
And we could blame Love. That was obviously Costello all the way. That was basically the equivalent of a punt.
Well, the one thing that Costello has done early in his career, he'll give his receivers a chance, but he might have been well served not to put that ball in harm's way with a couple of TCU defenders back there as Justin Reed forces Hicks out of bounds.
And that was a big chance for Stanford to put a lot of pressure on TCU. Yep. They're already up 14-3. They've possessed the ball almost 4 more minutes than TCU in this game. TCU off to a bad start. That could be the spark that TCU needs to finally get something going in this game. They don't look like the more athletic team to me so far in the first quarter, David.
Shewu Lanalua and running back for Frogs. Hill on the boot, throwing it. Rager had it for a second. It was knocked free. It's an incomplete pass. Justin Reed delivering the big hit on the freshman.
And that was a heck of a throw by Kenny Hill. That was... Rager took a shot.
I would say Rager's hoping he didn't throw that one.
Yeah, well, Kenny Hill took a shot.
That was a heck of a throw.
But that was a great... I mean, give credit. That's, first of all, that's Reed. I mean, Reed detaches the ball, but look at that. He squares his shoulder, throws a great pass. And Justin Reed separates ball from man. Very nice. Justin Reed's a heck of a player.
And did it the right way. Didn't use his helmet. We always see big hits bring flags. That was done the right way.
Rager was the Big 12 co-offensive freshman of the year. He was tied for the FBS lead and touchdowns by a freshman. Had 7 touchdown catches. Jalen getting to his feet. We're back after this. There's Jalen Rager being checked out on the TCU sideline after taking that big hit from Justin Reed a few minutes ago. Jalen trying to catch his breath, and his Horned Frog offense left with a 3rd down. On the season, Stanford was one of the worst 3rd down defenses in the country, but TCU's only converted on 1 out of 4 so far tonight. Hill throwing it out to Diaz. He was covered tightly by Quentin Meeks. And Diaz couldn't haul it in, and Frogs will have to punt it away.
And we keep talking about the athleticism of TCU out wide winning against Stanford. They're not winning. Right there you can see cover 1. Everybody man-to-man on the outside. You got a safety back deep. Couldn't get separation, and Hill hasn't been able to do it all year long. Making plays down the field is his weakness. I would continue to do that, press upon him, and make him throw the ball deep.
And you get a team in 3rd and 12, and all of a sudden you can play coverage.
Yeah.
And you no longer have the advantage of getting guys in space man-to-man.
Andrew David punting it away. Trenton Irwin, who changes jersey numbers briefly when he's on special teams, typically number 2 as a receiver, makes the fair catch, and they'll spot it at the 47-yard line. The Goodyear Cotton Bowl, USC and Ohio State, Friday 8:30 Eastern on ESPN. Big Ten champions against the Pac-12 champions, the 82nd annual Goodyear Cotton Bowl. How about J.T. Barrett, Sam Darnold? One would assume the last game for Sam, though you never know.
Assumptions, huh?
Yeah, you never know. He enjoys college. It's in his 2nd year playing, but 3rd year on campus. You see all of these draft prospects that will be on display in that game. That is a
big-time game.
It is a big-time matchup with a Rose Bowl field, but being played in the greater Dallas area. Bryce Love, once again, bottled up. Bryce has had a few opportunities to squirt free, but by and large, the TCU defense, this time led by Ross Blacklock, able to stop him. Picks up 1.
That was the first cut by Bryce Love that didn't look clean. That one looked like the ankle may have been an issue, trying to cut back to his right. He always keeps his shoulders facing the line of scrimmage, and displaces his body by a man as well as anyone in the country. That time, it didn't look as clean, as powerful when he tried to go back to the right side.
Back to Love. He would get it into TCU territory at the 49. Gonna need about 6 for the first down.
And I would show Banagoo, if he's coming off the right side of your, he's going to be off the right side of your screen right over here. He's not playing quarterback run. He's playing Bryce Love. Look at him chase. He's coming down the line of scrimmage, playing Bryce Love the whole time. You see Stanford, they do this. They go 2 tight ends. They go 16 tight ends, really. Then they get in the gun and they run a little zone read. They show you a little bit of everything. And now 3rd and medium. This is where TCU can start dialing some stuff up and try to get another turnover like they did last possession.
Play clock inside 5. Costello calling for the ball. KJ firing to the outside. Irwin makes the catch, and he is hit immediately and knocked down by Garrett Wallow, the freshman from New Orleans.
What a great job on defense. Understanding where the sticks are, understanding where he's got to go. You're blitzing. The ball's going to come out fast. Way to hunt and go attack it. That's a great job by the freshman.
And we've seen Costello have chances to stand in the pocket and look over the coverage. Coach Patterson, not that time, sends the blitz thinking we got to make him get the ball out.
4th down and 1. Stanford brings a lot of big folks in there. Cameron Scarlett, short yardage running back, marks the fullback, shifts over, and Scarlett will run behind him. And a short yardage play that converts. Maybe a little too soon to bring up one that almost
Stanford.
did, perhaps should have.
Or USC.
For Scarlett and Stanford against SC.
That's the first thing that came to mind when Stanford fans are going, yes, we got this, but
there's no penetration. You don't see a purple jersey penetrate anywhere across the white of the jersey of the Stanford offensive line. And on short plays, you need to find creases, find places to get penetration. There was zero, and there's no way you can stop them unless you crease that big offensive line.
Big Nick Wilson back there at fullback, 6'3", 285.
They had 2 fullbacks with Marks and him back there. Spates has returned at running back. Costello fakes it to him. Now he's got a man in the middle, and Schultz got knocked almost rear end over tea kettles. We check in with Quint.
Gary Patterson talked about repping against those 3 tight ends and 2 fullbacks. They hardly even have that personnel on their roster, and to simulate that size is almost impossible. Meanwhile, Mike Bloomgren told me on Christmas Day they were in full pads practicing those short yardage situations, hitting while TCU was in shorts and helmets. So it's a mentality difference as well.
What a great Christmas gift. Thanks, Coach. Let's beat the crap out of each other on Christmas Day.
Scarlett in and running back on 2nd and 2. Both these teams pride themselves on being physical. Costello hit as he throws. And getting pressure in there was again the freshman Corey Bethley.
That's another blitz by TCU, and you can see they don't want to give Costello a chance to sit in the pocket and get comfortable. He's made comfortable throws in this game. The pressure this time, make him get it out. Let's go man-to-man on the backside, make him get it out quick, and hopefully make him make a mistake and maybe throw another interception.
And it's another 3rd and short. They went for it on 4th and short last time. So you probably have 2 plays right here. You're going to expect Love getting the ball right up the gut.
Well, they've got the extra lineman in there. Wilson's back in. They've got him lined up.
He's confused, though.
The tight end. Just go hit somebody, Nick. Here he comes. He's pulling around. That's what it is. Hey, he gave a little crease to Bryce Love, and he's got the 1st down. Nick was making sure whether he had to be on or off the line of scrimmage, I think, right there. And then
it's a good-looking fullback right there. But watch him pull around. He's on the left side of your screen, big 54. Follow the 300-pounder, and look at the cut. What a great job. He sees the colors of the uniform so well. Purple all coming to the right, cuts back. He could have housed that one. He looked like you've seen him house some of those in the past, but follow the big fella.
Stanford uses its personnel in a variety of ways. A lot of guys have already contributed in the first quarter plus of this 25th Valero Alamo Bowl. Spates has it. Spates into the secondary. Now he's back into the red zone. That was an awkward-looking handoff from Costello. And Costello had a little bit of a banged-up hand earlier in the season. And
Watch him reach
got his
out.
hand hit earlier.
He got confused.
Yeah, I think he did.
He thought the play was going to the right, and then did a great job. Watch him adjust, and then backhanded, put it right in the gut. Obviously, that would usually be the other hand, but
yeah,
when your offensive line is blocking like Stanford's right now, you got time to make a mistake in the backfield and still pick up a big run.
Back into the red zone. This is the red zone defense. Has been 2nd in the country in touchdown percentage for TCU, and this is the 3rd play in the red zone and the first time that Stanford didn't score a touchdown against it. Been very efficient so far.
And they've been great in the red zone all year, by the way. TCU's been one of the best red zone defenses in all of football. You see it, 2nd in FBS. Tonight, Stanford's been saying, nah, we don't agree with that. Look at Gary. Untying his shoe, tying it back, pulling up his pants. He's probably...
Stanford scores here. There may be a shirt change coming up. Scarlett returns in the backfield for the Cardinal. Shovel to Schultz inside, and tight end getting it. And Matt Boson, Chris Bradley there to stop that one.
And give Boson a lot of credit. And stayed home, stayed square, wasn't worried about Costello, had his eyes in the right place, and simply took the pitch guy on the inside and made a nice tackle.
That's right.
You have to get off the field here. If you're TCU, you have to get off the field here. It's still a lot of time in this game, but you can see the confidence of the Stanford offense getting going. They've had great field position. They've been in the red zone all night long. You have to hold them to at least a field goal attempt here if you're TCU.
And I'd look up here at the top of the screen. Your matchup right here, you got some serious height up top.
Costello's looking the other way. He throws it up top. J.J. Arcega, white side, his second touchdown of the night.
Jeff Gladney's on the other side. He's a tall corner, so they went after him. Well, I mean, he's tall. He's 6 foot. But watch the box out by Arcega Whiteside. Look at the box out. Look at him put his body on him, play basketball, get the rebound, reach over the goal line. Man, that's too easy, Joe.
And Coach Patterson told us he wants his corners to reach up through their hands when they catch the ball. When you're getting boxed out like that, you can't get to the hands. There's nothing you can do about it.
Big bodies, Stanford wide receivers on the outside. You got 6'3", you got 6'6", you got 6'7".
The size more than offsetting the advantage the Horned Frogs hoped they would have in space. Little trouble with the hold, no trouble for Jet Toner as he knocks it through. And the Cardinal up 21-3, and if not for the Frogs' history in this particular building, one might think they're in a world of trouble. To be fair, they probably are.
The Valero Alamo Bowl is fueled by Valero. The Lexus December to Remember sales event, now through January 2nd. And Domino's. Oh, yes, we did.
See some indelible images from memorable Alamo Bowls. There was a Nebraska-Michigan game in 05, RG3, 67-56. And then, of course, the epic comeback by Patterson's Horned Frogs, down 31-0 to Oregon at the half. Won it 47-41 in triple overtime. Second largest comeback in any game and matched the largest comeback in bowl history. You know, before that comeback by TCU, teams that have been trailing by 31 were 0 and 1,463.
That's a
until
surprise.
The Frogs got them.
Can't believe nobody pulled it off before that.
So does he have a wardrobe change in him? Does he go back to the black, or
if the rest of this half doesn't go well, I would say so. Here's Turpin. Turpin looking for the edge. Monte Turpin's chased out of bounds at the 22-yard line. And if TCU is going to mount a comeback, they're going to need Kenny Hill to find his rhythm, something he has not been able to do. Some of his problems have been self-inflicted.
Yeah, when you throw it back across your body, you know that's a no-no. But a lot of times, just run the football. And we've seen at least 3 times tonight where the big play was there. If he simply just holds it, tucks it, and runs it, lets his athleticism make a play. You don't always have to beat a team for the big play down the field. Move the chains with your feet and get into a rhythm.
I wouldn't be surprised to see some of that now. Him as a design runner, do some more zone read stuff. They're not blocking great up front. See if you can't get his legs more involved in the run game.
And right on cue, here goes Kenny up close to the 30-yard line.
He's a big dude. I mean, he's not a small cat. I mean, you look at Kenny Hill, he's 6'1", 215 pounds. He runs the ball. I mean, he's really a better runner than he is a thrower. And they do the bubbles, and right there, you spread them out 5 wide, and it didn't look like much, did it? It's 2nd and 5. You know how easy that is as a play caller when you give them 5 on first down? Everything's available now.
We're about to see how easy it is. Let's see how easy it is for the play call. We haven't seen a lot of the tunnel screens, the swing passes that we expected to see out of this offense tonight.
Now option look, Kenny Hill gets across the 35 and close to the 40. Joey, to your point, is there anything schematically you've seen Stanford doing that would discourage TCU from those types of, they've made a lot of big plays against Oklahoma throwing the ball to back.
Yeah, and I spoke to coach and asked him how many tunnel screens, how many swing passes you come into games with. He told me 8 or 9. So you have a ton of different ways to get those plays in. Right now, because they're not having any success between the tackles, Stanford doesn't have to commit their linebackers to worrying about the guys being able to run it in between the tackles. And this is what I'm expecting right here. Let's see him out in space. And David, just like you said, that's 5 yards.
Yeah.
And now you set up a much shorter 2nd down call for your play caller.
And it's obviously numbers. I mean, it's very simple. Stanford's out wide. They're making sure they got enough numbers to cover the outside quick game. And if you're going to do that, the quarterback run game is available because you pick up an extra blocker, and that's why it should be available. Look at the bottom of your screen. You got 3 Stanford defenders down low. You got 2 wide receivers. It's not a smart move to throw the ball down low.
Stanford wanted to take away all of the smokes and the screens. Kalambayi showing pressure.
Yeah, and that just changed.
Quarterback's
David.
left side.
He just went inside.
Alano has a first down. Shewo working his way through the Stanford secondary and finally brought down by Ben Edwards.
And this team changed a lot with Darius Anderson getting hurt. Shewo has to do a great job. This is a good-looking human being, by the way. How big is he, Reese? 6'2", 6'3", 215?
225.
I mean, you look at that. That's a big human. He's got to be physical. They got to give him some touches. Let him pound away.
For sure, the best movement by the offensive line of TCU that we've seen all night long.
It was the longest run for him, Joey, 17 yards, and there's the shovel pass to Alano, who they want to run with a little more attitude and authority. He hasn't always performed like that big body would suggest he should.
That is the second straight play. We've seen this offensive line from TCU get moving. They don't double team much, their offensive line. They're usually man-to-man blocks, so you'd expect them not to be able to move these big defensive linemen from Stanford like Harrison Phillips, but that's 2 straight plays they've been able to get a lot of movement, and that's their 2 best runs.
Jet sweep look. Turpin, as in Stanford, stays home. Perez making the stop along with Jovan Swan as we go down to Quint.
Reese, that play right there was Harrison Phillips' first of this drive. There's a considerable drop-off, and it's noticeable. Gary Patterson told us when 66 is not in the game for Stanford, there's a big drop-off on their D-line, and it showed early in that drive.
Harrison Phillips is a dangerous man with his hands, as Quint found out in no uncertain terms.
Yes, he did.
We will show you later tonight. Quint, who was giving up a pound or 2 to Harrison.
Just a few.
In the hotel ballroom
just a few.
Yesterday. Quint had to go see the dentist after it was over. 3rd down. Hicks looking for room. Nice bounce to the outside. Hicks inside the 20 and finally knocked out of bounds, and TCU's in business. Alameen Murphy perhaps saved a touchdown.
And they had to do it, man. They had to get the running game going. 3rd and 5, you think it's more of a passing situation. Kenny Hill's been running the ball. Look at him read the outside, read the defensive end on the outside, hand the ball off, and Hicks making a big play.
And to the point of getting some movement on this drive, you had a 12-yard run, a 17-yard run, and now a 27-yard run from Hicks. And it's 1st and goal for the Horned Frogs as inside 3.5 minutes to play in the first half. And TCU will try to build a little momentum. Kenny Hill firing up top. Diar's got a hand on it but couldn't catch it. Quentin Meeks right there with him.
He only needed 1 in the Oklahoma game versus Oklahoma, the Big 12 championship game.
I never understand that. You have success running the football, especially on this drive.
And you got man coverage on the outside. Why not?
Yeah, I hear you. And you've seen what man coverage just did. Now you get to the 6-yard line on 1st down. Keep running it.
Now Hill may run it this time. Kenny keeping it himself, and he gets into the end zone for the Horned Frog touchdown. A sign of life from the TCU offense, a 76-yard drive capped here.
He wanted to throw the bubble. You see it. He's right there looking at, obviously, Rager on the outside. Does a great job. Don't throw it. The numbers weren't there. Does a great job scrambling around. And, again, that was Kenny Hill's feet on that drive. That's what made that drive go. It's not his arm. Continue to run him, especially now you can when it's only 21-10.
Saw a little option. We saw the touch pass jet sweep to Turpin. We saw Alana Lua, who had a couple of big runs, and so did Hicks, and TCU back in it with their first touchdown of the night.
My left stroke just went viral. I got power, poison, pain, and joy inside my DNA.
National championship game in Atlanta. Kendrick Lamar performing at halftime. That event just keeps getting bigger and bigger. It'll be in the new Mercedes-Benz Stadium. And Kenny Hill just scored a touchdown for Gary Patterson's team. Got off to a rather slow start again here in San Antonio tonight, but Now with just over 3 minutes to play in the first half, Frogs will get the ball first in the second half and see if they can get a stop, perhaps get it one more time, or will Stanford answer with Cameron Scarlett. Dangerous kickoff man, almost squirted free and knocked down at about the 26-yard line. All-State proud to be part of the team that comes together to do good by contributing to participating universities' general scholarship funds for each field goal and extra point kick. Today, All-State has contributed millions in scholarship funds.
If Stanford's on their game, TCU won't get this ball back again in this half. They do not want to give TCU 2 cracks at it, one in this half and then coming back and getting the ball after TCU just went down and scored. Stanford run the clock out as importantly as trying to get points.
Bryce Love has a touchdown tonight. He tries to go back the other way. He gets away from Blacklock, but there are a lot of black jerseys around. Banagoo finally putting him to the turf. Blacklock back there to wreak havoc first and force Love off his first track.
And does a great job getting penetration. Look at that. You see the stun up front. Blacklock was a defensive tackle. He loops around the defensive end. Bryce Love didn't know how to handle it. Nice, by the way,
almost
nice
looked like
block
a plan to come
Costello.
back. It almost looked like he planned to come back. You don't see Bryce Love's shoulders go east and west the way they were to begin that play. It almost looked like the plan was to cut back, use the speed of TCU's defense against them.
He stayed home, lost 7. Now Costello just throws it away. He had Rush right in his face and chasing the ball around. And looking for Caden Smith, or Rico Evans. Back there, I guess, looking to see if perhaps it was just knocked free, but KJ clearly was. Well, first he was throwing it away, but there was a receiver close enough.
How about TCU was turned up the heat in the second quarter. They've decided we're going to blitz in the second quarter, and I expect them to blitz again, get the ball out. It's a 3rd and long, see if they can make a play.
And an opportunity to get the stop here, Joey. To your point earlier, clock stopped on the incomplete pass. Still over 2 minutes to go here in the half. Running play, Love looking to the outside, a little bit of room, but not nearly enough. And TCU's defense is energized, perhaps by the offense showing signs of life. And it'll be 4th down.
Penetration
the clock
again.
winds inside 2 minutes.
Big boys inside getting penetration. That time, Bethley, the true freshman.
I'm surprised TCU isn't calling a timeout in this situation, simply because now you have plenty of time.
Now they did. They just called one there, but they lost some time.
Yeah,
they lost about a dozen seconds.
And your success has been on the last drive was the ability to run the football.
Yep.
So you want to save as much time as you can so that running the ball is still on the table.
So TCU's going to get another position in this half. The defense shutting down the Cardinal on that drive, starting to show some of that vintage Frog stop force. Downtown San Antonio, they do a great job with the teams that they host in the Valero Alamo Bowl. TCU and Stanford both drawing good crowds here to watch their teams. Stanford with a 21-10 lead, but the Horned Frogs have awakened here in the second quarter. Now Jake Bailey, the talented punter from the Cardinal, going to see if he can flip the field. That is not necessarily his best effort. Desmond White has an opportunity. Pretty good coverage downfield by the Cardinal, but TCU have pretty good field position at the 39 as we check in with Adnan. All right, Adnan, look forward to that.
Apparently the fans didn't know Adnan and boys were going to be at the stadium.
They're not letting anybody in there until game time. Yeah. David and I headed to Pasadena after this game. Joey will make his way to New Orleans for the other semifinal. Kenny Hill scrambling to his left. Hill going to pick up some yards, get across the 45 out close to the first down, and he'll have it. Clock will stop to move the chains.
There you go.
You think Sonny Cumbie said, Kenny Hill run the ball?
Yeah.
You think in the last 2 drives he said, settle down and just simply run the football when nothing's there.
See what Hill did on the last drive. It was the only touchdown drive of the first half so far for TCU. Hill throwing to the outside, and he overshoots Jalen Reagor. Good. Jalen was in the last series too. He was shaken up earlier in the game. Nice to see him back out there.
And that's the throw that you get frustrated watching Kenny Hill, because he's got to make that throw. That's a timing route to the outside. His guy's wide open. He has to throw it before he breaks, obviously. And when this offense is really humming, he makes that throw. And he makes that throw, then he runs, and it's unstoppable. He hasn't been able to consistently do it this season.
Hicks up inside, and now TCU might want to think about using timeout or show a little urgency here on third down. Mentioned earlier the difficulties that the Stanford defense has had on third down this season, but TCU's converted only 2 out of 6. Clock going inside a minute. Pressure coming, picked up pretty well. Hill steps away from it. Kenny's still on his feet, and he's going to be stopped short of the first down.
And look at Phillips.
Harrison Phillips checking,
and he's laying
down
on top of him. He's like, yeah, I'm laying on top of him. Let a few more seconds tick off.
And we have a Stanford player across the way who is down. I believe that's Jovan Swan.
Grabbing his ankle.
Defensive end, sophomore from Greenwood, Indiana.
And you know he's dinged, because in a 2-minute drill, you're taught as a defensive lineman, you better get up and find a way to get back to the huddle, let the clock run.
TCU.
If you're Stanford, you better call a timeout. Once the player is up and this clock starts, if you're Stanford, you want to call a timeout in this situation. You want to ensure that TCU punts this football.
I think
if you let them run the clock down to a few seconds, they'll run another play.
You see him attending to Swan. This was an opportunity for TCU to really build some momentum going into the half, and Swan just lost his footing as Hill cut back, and he's up and walking off the field now.
Please put 32 seconds on the game clock.
Certainly that's good news, and our officiating crew straightening out the clock. That's Ken Williamson, the referee, who just had them put 32 seconds on the game clock.
And Kenny Hill needs to understand it's 4th and 2.5, 4th and 3. You got to move the sticks one more time. Be smart here.
And understand, if you don't, then Stanford's getting this ball back
right there
with pretty good field position, with enough time and 3 timeouts, go down and score.
Yep.
Now, into the half, the injury to stop the clock. And so that runs the time off.
And now it's running.
Now it starts, and if I'm Stanford, I'm going to call a timeout in this situation.
I'm all right. I wouldn't take one.
Well, what TCU might do is wait and let it run down.
And run one more play. And that's why we call the timeout, to force their hand in a situation where they would definitely punt this football.
Then they get an easy, manageable 4th and 2.5, and then they're in field goal range.
It's not
next
easy
thing you know.
and manageable when you're at midfield. And so you're taking chances now, because if Stanford stops you, they get the ball with a chance to score.
So 6 seconds remaining here in the half. We'll see what Patterson plans to do. He's already faked a punt and run a trick play on a kickoff return that didn't work. So why not heave one up on the final play of the half?
You've seen it plenty of times.
This is the reason that you call the timeout. You force their hand and not let them have a chance to make a decision to run one more play at the end of the half. Now, this is advantage TCU. You get one more crack at it to make a play. Stanford calls a timeout. It puts pressure on the coaching staff
Stanford
to make a decision.
is way smarter than you. They've already checked the probabilities of this. Okay, they understand. They've got one play. If they got one play to throw to the end zone and get a Hail Mary, so be it. I don't want to give them more plays so they have an opportunity to get 3 at it.
You could have had the ball back.
They're not an explosive offense. They're not throwing the ball down the field in 30 seconds.
And you got Bryce Love now. You can do a lot of things with Bryce Love and the ball in his hand.
I think the whole thing, they just would have had the opportunity, to Joey's point, to take the knee and make sure that the half ends without getting a pass interference penalty, untimed down, or having the Hail Mary be completed. Kenny Hill throwing to the end zone. A lot of white shirts out there, and it was deflected and then intercepted. Bankham with his second interception of the first half. They tried to knock it down and almost didn't.
I understand the knocking down thing, but you knock down when you're in a crowd. When you're by yourself, that was more of a set for volleyball. He set it right up to his
Well, he tried to knock it down with his face mask, and that didn't
But it's just you. You got to realize that. Oh, man.
Just mistimed his jump a little bit.
That's exactly how they drew it up. Doesn't matter. You're Stanford. You're still excited. You're up 11. Gary's going to rally the troops now and go change shirts.
You think he changed shirts?
Why not? Let's do it.
Quint Kesnick with David Shaw. Quint?
Coach, on their last scoring drive, their quarterback, Kenny Hill, ran the ball. In the second half, how can you better account for him as a running threat?
We can't give him the edge, right? We got to keep him inside. If he runs up the middle, that's great. We got to get him on the ground, but we can't give him the edge. He's a very dangerous runner.
You're squared off with Coach Patterson head-to-head in terms of play calling. What's that like in terms of the challenge you're facing?
Well, the biggest thing for us is for us to do what we're capable of doing. They've made some plays on the defensive side. We got to run the ball a little bit better than we did in the first half.
Thank you, Coach. Reese.
All right, Quint, a 21-10 lead for Shaw's team. TCU gets the ball to start the second half. Right after the break, Adnan Vert, Jonathan Villman, and Mac Brown will be in Pasadena for the halftime report.
Welcome back to Capital One Bowl Mania.
Welcome back to San Antonio and the Valero Alamo Bowl, part of Capital One Bowl Mania. Just about set to kick off the second half. Stanford and TCU, the Cardinal, runner-up in the Pac-12 with a 21-10 lead over TCU. The Horned Frogs, runner-up in the Big 12. But the Frogs built some momentum late in the first half, and they'll get the ball first to start here in the second half. Reese Davis, David Pollack, Joey Galloway, and Quint Kesnick on the call. Glad to have you with us from San Antonio tonight. Kickoff hits the pylon. It'll be another touchback, and TCU will start on the 25-yard line. Okay, we spent a lot of the first half talking about how Stanford had outplayed TCU, largely because of the Horned Frogs' mistakes. You look up, TCU's outgained them. They've got some momentum. What do you see here in the third quarter?
Obviously, huge score. I mean, this game was going to get ugly. It could have got out of hand quickly, but I think you saw it. Kenny Hill's feet. I mean, it made the decision-making easier for him. Stanford's going to take away the quick perimeter stuff on the outside, so it's going to be Kenny Hill's legs the rest of the way. I think it's going to have to lead him.
It's what you saw.
You want to get off to the same start you got off to begin this game. You made some plays, you created some turnovers, and you want to stop TCU from running the ball. That's where they found their success in the second quarter.
Old Bryce Love set that Stanford single-season record in the first half. He was largely held in check, averaging better than 8 yards per carry this season. Was held under 4 yards per carry in the first half, as Hill's first pass of the second half is complete.
Stanford was already aware, too, him getting on the perimeter.
So Hill firing and has his man out there, Jarrison Stewart, making the grab as we check in with Quint.
We are faster than they are, the words of Gary Patterson. We've got to spread them out and continue to use our quickness. 2 turnovers, and he pointed to Kenny Hill, just run the ball. He said, if in doubt, Kenny's got to just run the ball. Defensively, very happy with their defense against Bryce Love. No gigantic chunk runs.
See Patterson's record against Pac-12 schools. He beat Stanford a couple of times in 07 and 08, including immediately after that epic upset that Stanford had against USC 2007. Shewa Alanalua, a good pickup. He's run the ball with some authority tonight.
So look what happens on the right side, Reese. Now you have to honor Kenny Hill as a runner because he's been running the football all over the place. Now it opens up other guys to have success. Keep it going.
Second down and short. They'll let Kenny throw it to the outside, and some miscommunication as White continued on his route up the field.
I don't get it, Joey.
We've seen movement, though. And the other thing, the offensive line, and they're going man-to-man inside. It's not double-team movement. It is man-to-man. They are starting to move around the defensive line from Stanford, which we didn't think they could do. And Coach Patterson said they're faster.
Too.
They don't look faster in this game, but they are starting to look more physical than the defense of Stanford.
So a 3rd down and 1 coming up. Opening drive of the second half. Kenny's had one big play on 3rd down. He'll cut it up on the option, has the first down, gets into Stanford territory, surrounded by a host of white jerseys. Ben Edwards was first, but not before the Horned Frogs pick up a first down.
But a great job by Stanford coming off the edge, playing the option slow, make Kenny Hill run the ball, and make him be physical. Put licks on him. He's loose with the football sometimes. Don't let him get on the edge and make those easy runs. That's Stanford will take those.
Much more effective running the ball than passing, as you see in the play selection chart. There's Sonny Cumbie, the offensive coordinator for TCU, the former Texas Tech quarterback. Hill to throw it on 1st down. He'll pull it down again. And Kenny goes for the slide. He gets to about the 41-yard line.
And that's the Kenny that Stanford was worried about. The Kenny that can go back in the pocket, look downfield, not see a receiver open, and tuck the ball and run it. They don't see a lot of athletic quarterbacks like a Kenny Hill. But in this game, Kenny Hill, especially at the back end of the first half, has started to use his feet, and their offense is so much more effective.
Kennedy Snell, freshman running back, has checked in now for TCU. Mentioned earlier, Darius Anderson not able to play in this game. A throwback to Snell. Slips one tackle and gets inside the 40. He's close to the first down, where the official looks as if he's going to spot. I think he's going to be just a hair short. Dylan Jackson on the stop. Some help from Frank Buncombe.
And defensively, you know when he's in the game, you're getting ready for stuff like that. He's not going to go up the middle. He's a tiny little freshman back, 170 pounds, but speed to burn on the perimeter. Great job by Stanford understanding that.
How about Snell and Jalen Rager, who we saw in the first half, high school teammates at Waxahachie High, and they played for John Kitna,
Kit Kat,
former NFL quarterback. Shuffle pass look. Alana Lua has it. First down. He's inside the Stanford 30, and TCU with a really strong opening drive here in the 3rd quarter.
Great job. Again, you get Kenny Hill on the perimeter. You've seen him have success. You've got to stop him as a runner. He has the option to keep that or pitch it underneath. Again, everything in this offense right now going through Kenny Hill and his feet. It's where they have a huge advantage against Stanford. You got Harrison Phillips coming off the field, big boy on the inside, trying to rotate bodies too. Now the inside's vulnerable.
Motion in the swing out to Desmond White. He can throw it, and he throws it back to Kenny Hill. Hill's got open space and an escort, and he'll waltz into the end zone. Touchdown, Horned Frogs. We saw Hill catch a touchdown pass against West Virginia. Now he goes 27 for his 2nd score of the night. He's got 1 running and 1 receiving for the quarterback.
And you can see Sonny Cumbie is now getting in a rhythm. These play calls now, misdirection, run plays, pass plays, and that's when trick plays start to work. When you get a defense off bounce and they don't know where you're coming from, it sets up the trick plays. They have to worry about quarterback run. They have to worry about these running backs getting out wide, and so the defense has to react now. They didn't have to react early in the game because they weren't having success. Now you can see the rhythm of the TCU offense.
Trick plays don't work for Stanford, though.
The extra point
is running between tackles, but it's working today.
Trick plays don't work.
Extra point is no good. There was a little trouble with the hold. So it's a 5-point lead for the Cardinal. But a very productive drive to open the 3rd quarter here, capped off by the throwback from Desmond White to the quarterback, Kenny Hill, and TCU's back in it in San Antonio.
The Valero Alamo Bowl is fueled by Valero, the Quicksilver card from Capital One. Earn unlimited 1.5% cash back every purchase, everywhere. And Chevy. Chevy has earned J.D. Power Dependability Awards for cars, trucks, and SUVs.
At the talent show, both teams got to show off their off-the-field prowess. Gary Patterson jumped in to play a little guitar. The couple of guys on the team who had planned to have their teammates accompany them, but a couple of guys unable to make the trip. Gary, a noted singer and guitar player, so he jumped in, was able to play some country music. Harrison Phillips from Stanford said, "You were playing country. I hope you're playing the blues after the game." And Gary used that one to get himself fired up a little bit. He'll find something every now and then to get wound up about. TCU's wound up. They're back in this game now, just down by 5. Kick off your Saturday afternoon with ESPN and ABC. Noon on ESPN. Louisville takes on Mississippi State in the Tax Slayer Bowl. Then click over to ABC, 12:30. Just go back and forth or use that ESPN app if you want for the AutoZone Liberty Bowl. Home game for Memphis and Riley Ferguson against Iowa State. Joel Lanning, the linebacker / occasional quarterback and former quarterback for Iowa State, compared some of the things that Riley Ferguson does to Baker Mayfield. Of course, Lanning and the Cyclones, the only team to beat Oklahoma this year. That'll be Saturday afternoon as Capital One Bowl Mania continues. Bryce Love looking for running room. A good gain on first down up to about the 27. Pickup of about 6.
I haven't really seen Stanford go deep much. I mean, we've seen the jump ball for the touchdown, but it was a shorter throw. We hadn't really seen them take their shots downfield against these shorter corners with their taller receivers.
You had the interception in the end zone when Costello got a little fooled on the coverage.
It's funny, it's interesting. This is exactly how they came out in the first half with a bunch sets to start the game.
That was part of the game plan. They're hoping to be able to match up these tight ends on some of the smaller TCU defenders. There's the toss, and Love hits up to the 30. It's going to bring up a 3rd down and 1.
And the power toss, you've seen it for LSU for years, but the back, watch the back. He just keeps his shoulder square, and he can pick a hole. And this is what Bryce Love does great. Look at that huge hole on the outside. Unbelievable blocking by Schultz, the tight end number 9. Pick a spot, go through it real quick.
Huge 3rd down for Stanford. The way we've seen TCU come out in this second half and the way it looked at the end of the first half, Stanford needs to stay on the field and move the chains.
It's a lot of beef in the middle. You want to go off tackle.
Nick Wilson and Daniel Marks back there behind the running back, and there's not much push up front.
He's still pushing though.
You can see some penetration that time. The last time we got in this look, the Stanford offensive line moved the entire line of scrimmage toward the positive side. This time you could see some purple jerseys start to break through the offensive line.
Look at just look in the inside. There's 4 guys.
And the officials they're signaling them to go ahead and move the chains. They waited a little while and looked at it. I was watching the chains across the way as Cameron Scarlett, their short yardage guy, gets on top of that pile.
What'd y'all think? Y'all think he got it?
Apparently they eyeballed it. I don't see enough to overturn it. As I look at it, I don't see enough to overturn it.
You were questioning the spot.
I was looking. Same look, same bunch set. Tight ends up top now.
SEC officiating crew. There's the power toss again. There's Love. Love into the open field. Bryce Love. Foot race. Does he have enough on that ankle? Being chased by the fastest man on the Horned Frog team, Gladney, and he did not catch him in time. Touchdown, Bryce Love. Another big run. 69 yards to the house.
Power toss again, throws it to him, pick a hole, breaks a tackle, cuts back to the left, and usually nobody even stays in the screen with him. Gladney, great hustle all the way down the field. Did he get in at the end? Looked like the ball might have been. It's in his right hand. Watch when he gets pulled back out of bounds. The ball doesn't. Does it hit the pylon in that direction?
Touchdown.
Where's our pylon cam when we need it, huh?
His 13th rush of at least half 100. There are teams that don't have that many. TCU doesn't have that many plays as a team of over 50 yards. And Love has been a big play waiting to happen in his first really big one of the night and his 2nd touchdown run. So we have opened the second half with some fireworks, a methodical, efficient drive from TCU, answered by a lightning strike And the big play running back Bryce Love, the Heisman runner-up, into the house for the second time. Cardinal up by 12. We just saw Bryce Love's 13th 50-yard run of the season. 11 of them have gone for touchdowns. This one going 69 yards right through the heart of the TCU defense.
And this is Nick Orr, the linebacker for TCU, who is unblocked. As a defensive coordinator, this stuff has to drive you crazy when you have the right defense, you have guys unblocked in a situation as big as this. You have to make these kind of plays if you're going to stop players like Bryce Love.
And if you show that again, if you see it again, the highlight, the cool thing is that what Stanford does is when they do that toss, you see Costello, he comes out to block, and he just got in the way of Nick Orr to make him hesitate and chop his feet for a second, and that's all Bryce Love needed. I mean, listen, you make that tackle in the hole, Joey. I mean, it's not like tackling just an everyday average back. This dude is just, he's filthy.
He didn't touch him.
Yeah,
now,
well, you wouldn't have either.
I might not tackle him, but I can guarantee you I'll touch him.
Oh, stop it.
He didn't get blocked. I'll touch him.
Well, that was the longest run of the season TCU has allowed, and just like that, Love, who was averaging less than 4 yards a carry.
Back to his average?
Well under his average. Not quite, but he's up to 7.5 yards a carry after. And that's what he does. You saw the number of home runs he's been able to hit. Yet another touchback off the foot of Jake Bailey, and TCU will start on the 25.
And the problem is, Reese, like, you want to stack the box, and you want, with all those tight ends and all those fullbacks that people don't even see anymore in football, but that's what happens. You miss one tackle, and somebody's got to catch him in the open field or make an open field tackle against him, and it's tough to do. So McCaffrey and Love, that's what's made this offense unique, is getting home run hitters like that. You're going to load the box, you're going to pay for it when a guy misses a tackle.
Kenny Hill gets it back, throws it out to Hicks in the flat. He's chased down after a pickup of maybe one. Justin Reed, the outstanding safety for the Cardinals, not on the field right now. And I don't believe he's in uniform right now. Quint, what's the latest on Justin Reed?
I'm standing right behind him, and he doesn't have his football pants on, his cleats on, no helmet. It looks like he's done for the day. That's a significant hit. 97 tackles, 5 interceptions. Great length, great speed, great tackler.
Great versatility.
They have double numbers, but that is Justin Reed, and if he's done, that's a big, big deal.
It is indeed. He's brother Eric, standout player at LSU, and now for the 49ers. His dad was a track star at LSU. Kenny Hill firing into the middle, and he's got his man. Making the grab is Rager, and the freshman sit across the 40, and a good answer from TCU after giving up the quick strike to Bryce Love.
And that's Kenny Hill finishing on his left side. That is following through. He's as good as anyone in the country. Makes all the throws when he follows through and finishes on his left side and doesn't throw off his back foot. And you can see him drive. And that's when Coach Cumbie was talking about, when he comes through and finishes on his left side, he drives the ball much better.
Beautiful duck.
Hill plenty of time, dumps it over the middle to Hicks. Kyle has a first down, gets into Stanford territory. Now here's something to watch. That wasn't a perfect example of it with Hicks coming out of the backfield. But without Justin Reed, they were really counting on Reed to be a guy who's capable of covering the quick slot receivers from TCU. Now,
like Hicks right now.
And Ben Edwards and company be able to do that. There's Hicks getting inside the 40. TCU has found a little bit of rhythm.
And again, if I'm Stanford, I just got to make sure I'm keeping Kenny in the pocket and making him, again, the field shrinks down here. It's a lot easier to cover when he gets in the red zone. I'm going to give him this little underneath stuff, and then he's going to have to be he's going to have to execute a lot better down here in the red area.
On 2nd and 4. Hill taking a shot. Got a man out there, and he throws it out of bounds. Too much for Dylan Thomas. It'll be 3rd down.
That's a pretty good throw, though.
I mean, a good throw and a good play call. I like the play call. It's 2nd and 4. You can come back on 3rd down. You're on the plus side of the 50, so take your shot. Loosen up the defense. You can tell now Kenny Hill is in this game. He feels comfortable. It wasn't the same Kenny Hill that we watched in the first quarter with the interceptions. He was running around, should have run the ball, didn't look indecisive. Now Kenny Hill looks like the Kenny Hill that has been successful all season long for TCU.
If you're Stanford, you got to keep him in the pocket when he throws the football.
Alamo going to get that big body turned upfield, gets the first down, sheds a tackler, and Shewo Alamo is down to the 25-yard line. Another first down for the Frogs.
And that's easy. That's easy reads. That's easy pickings. But now they're going to go tempo too. But this is what we got to do: get the ball to your running backs in space. Better cut because they're coming.
Hill firing out there. Rager reaching for it, and he couldn't pull it in. Joey has this look of consternation on his face. I think you would prefer a two-hand effort. Is that?
Well, it looked like Rager didn't accelerate here, almost as if he lost the football. At the end, you look at the end of the route, and he reaches with the one hand because at the 10-yard line, he just didn't accelerate to the football as if he didn't believe it was coming.
Rager's going to take a break. Two backs. Snell going in motion. Hill looks that way, and instead they'll tunnel it to Diar's. John Diar's muscling his way down close to the 10-yard line. A Stanford headgear came out of that pile. As Diar's a strong run, the transfer from LSU. Got his undergrad degree at LSU, played a couple years here, now has his master's degree.
And now they manufacture with the offense. They pump the bubble outside and then run the tunnel underneath it. Just an easier way to get an easy completion. Now, this is the area where Kenny Hill struggled. This is the area where you make him be a quarterback and fit the ball in the tight windows, and he hasn't been very successful.
The headgear that came off, David, was Frank Buncombe, who has a couple interceptions in this game. So now both starting safeties not on the field for the Cardinal. First down inside the 15 for TCU. Down by 12 as we head towards 6 minutes to play in the third quarter. The 25th annual Valero Alamo Bowl. Hill looking for some room. Hill firing back into the end zone. Touchdown TCU, Desmond White. White threw the last touchdown pass to Kenny Hill, and this time he catches one from Kenny Hill.
You can't cover this long. I mean, there's nothing you can do. They did a better job of keeping him in the pocket and making him be a passer, but he keeps his eyes downfield. And great scramble drill coming back across. When you saw White, he was all the way on the right side of the field with Kenny Hill. He goes all the way across the field to the left side. Way too much time. Somebody's got to get a little more pressure.
TCU missed the last extra point. This one is true, so it's back to a 5-point game. The offenses have revved it up here in the second half. Kenny Hill's found his rhythm, and we've got a good one going in San Antonio. The Bowl Challenge Cup brought to you by Progressive, a competition among the conferences for the best winning percentage. Big Ten behind exhilarating victories from Purdue and Iowa with a 2-0 start. The Pac-12 1-3. Stanford appeared to be in really good shape for a while, but now TCU out of the Big 12 making a run. We've got a 28-23 game here in the third quarter. Conference USA has already won 4 of their 9 teams getting victories. Some of the other conferences with more games to play coming up. On the return for Stanford. Getting it out close to the 30-yard line. Here's what's happened in the third quarter. Desmond White throwing his first pass of the year. Touchdown to Kenny Hill, who caught a touchdown pass earlier against West Virginia. Then Bryce Love.
Just doing what he does.
Yeah, that's another 50-yard run. This one's 69 to be precise. And then Kenny Hill, that last drive, by the way, all pass plays. Kenny was 7 out of 9, including that strike to Desmond White. They're paying him for the pass he got to him earlier on the previous touchdown. So back and forth we go. And now KJ Costello. See if he has the answer for the Cardinal. The answer is often love. Look at that balance. Look at the balance for the Heisman runner-up.
Just put that hand on the ground. No big deal. Just push off.
And with the bad ankle, too.
Kind of limping off, too. Watch him kind of protect himself right here. And then put the foot on the or hand on the ground and just climb 10 more yards, no big deal.
That's Traven Howard that he put on the deck with that stiff arm. And during Gary Patterson's tenure as the TCU coach, no one has more tackles than Traven Howard, and Bryce Love just put him on the seat of his britches. Got the first down. Love now up to 147 yards on the night. Cameron Scarlett in at running back. Bunch formation to the right, and Stanford will run it that way and hit in the backfield and stop before Ross Blacklock loses his headgear. He made the tackle.
I'll tell you what, Gaines made that play, though. You watch number 6 get in there, and they've got penetration a lot of times, but you watch 6 get in there right away and just cause havoc on the outside. Turn the ball back inside to the big boys inside that have been eaten.
You see a lot of slanting out of defensive lines in the Big 12, and if they choose right, if they're slanting to the right way of the run, there's not much that the offensive line can do. And Blacklock wasn't getting stopped. It didn't matter who was in front of him. He was not getting stopped on that play.
Loss of 2. Costello getting heat, gets rid of that. Scarlett, a rare catch by a running back for Stanford. Scarlett ripping deep into TCU territory, and the Cardinal back in the red zone.
Plenty of time in bowl preparation to break tendencies. All season long, they didn't take advantage of the backside of the backfield. This is the second time we've seen tonight ISO a guy out of the backfield, and another big play. First time it was to Weddington.
The first time, yeah.
This time they hit Scarlett.
Same exact route. They're finding that man-to-man linebacker standing flat-footed. You give him one move, he has to take it.
Well,
Go ahead.
That was very reminiscent of the play they ran with Christian McCaffrey in the opening of the game against Iowa in the Rose Bowl. Went for a touchdown. Pickup of 50. 50-yard plays are the specialty of Stanford running backs, apparently. Back to Love.
Oh. If he scored it out of that one now, we were just going to have to tip the cap.
And Bozen able to wrap him up.
Great play by Bozen to get an ankle. I mean, seriously just caught an ankle, and we see Love limping again, and the limp is starting to get worse now, and that was an ankle tackle. Those
that's
are
the
tough.
ones. That's the ones that get him.
All night long, though, he has looked better with the ball in his hands running it than he has when we see him after the play when he starts to limp.
During the time off, Bryce pretty much stayed off of it. David Shaw saying he was conditioning for the most part, and he saw him zip by him in a practice this week and thought he might have the whole explosion back. Here's the toss to Scarlett. Scarlett, a good running back in his own right, and he gets down close to the 10-yard line as we take a look back at the last stop of Love on that.
And those are the ones when you get that ankle pulled in tight, he could feel it right away, and you see him getting upset about it. It's a huge opportunity for TCU's defense, by the way. They've struggled in the red zone all night, been great all year. Got to find a way right here to get some pressure.
The touchdown percentage allowed coming into the game tonight was second best in the country, but Stanford has been very proficient in their red zone trips.
Jump ball time.
Who's it going to be,
though? It looks like the man-to-man outside. I'm just going to throw the jump ball and let our receiver.
Throws it to the back of the end zone. He was looking for his roommate, was Costello, and unable to make the grab is Caden Smith.
Top of the screen. Oh, my goodness. Like, I know you like your roommate, but look up top. Corner blitz. Nobody over the top. No help whatsoever. Didn't see it at all.
Yeah, Costello threw it to the only place where there were two defenders. They had man-to-man on the left side and a blitz on the right side, and went to the only place where there was two defenders.
Only his 7th start. I'm betting he sees that next year and tosses that for the easy touchdown.
I bet he sees it on the sideline when they show him a picture of that one.
Imagine. So Jed Toner is going to try to pay off the long pass to Cameron Scarlett with 3 points, and he does. So Stanford gets 3, but they should have had 6. With the wide open Colby Parkinson, the freshman tight end who they think can be a superstar.
Well, and obviously you're reading coverage, and it's a busted coverage. The safety and the cornerback come at the same time. The safety was probably supposed to stay over the top. But let's be honest, too. Look at that. You should see it now. But he's made some throws like this down the last half of the season that have been insane. And
that is an interesting play call to me because of the ease in which they threw the jump ball in the first half. It just looked like it was a simple toss and catch. And so why not go back? You know you have this size advantage to the outside. Why challenge on a post route to the inside where the defenders are going to be anyhow? The play call doesn't make sense to me.
Take the easy money.
Take the easy money because it was so easy for you in the first half.
That extra point
could loom
large now,
yep.
Isn't it?
Missed extra point on the TCU touchdown. The first one here in the second half has it an 8-point game. We're headed toward the fourth quarter. As David knows from being around me for years, I'm a big proponent of just kick the extra point until you get to the fourth quarter. So we're just about at that time where if TCU can answer with a touchdown, that
and I completely agree with that.
Yeah,
completely agree with that.
Patterson will likely have to make that decision. Another booming kickoff. Turpin will take a knee. The Frogs will have it back at their 25, and Kenny Hill looked like a different guy here in the second half. Really started in the latter stages of the first half.
The last drive, really, of the second half or first half, is where he started to kick it in gear with his feet. Then you saw a little bit of trickeration, but the last drive, it was scrambling. It was the easy throws first that got the defense loosened up, and that's just Kenny Hill being Kenny Hill. Buy time, make a play downfield off schedule.
We probably haven't given enough credit to the offensive line and what they've been able to do in the last two quarters. The run game started up
front. The offensive line.
They've been terrific up front in the last two quarters of this game.
Harrison Phillips has been pretty quiet. A reverse to Kevontae Turpin. He gets by Kalambayi.
What a
but
play.
Stanford defends that very, very well.
And that's the one thing with Turpin. He's got to learn to not bounce everything outside. He could have cut that upfield and got 4 or 5 yards, or at least gotten something positive. He has an opportunity. Watch. Look, he's playing outside the whole time. Cut that thing up and go get some positive yards. It's not going to be a home run, but now you put yourself in a situation where it's 2nd and 20 as opposed to 2nd and 7. I know you're fast, but you got to cut that up.
And now here's a test for Kenny Hill. We saw him start out with some anxiety in the first half, trying to force things, and now down 8, you have a negative play late in the third quarter.
Still take the small stuff.
Takes care of the football.
Take the easy stuff underneath.
And he does. Turpin has it, and this time he does turn upfield. Kevontae using that speed, and good open field tackle right at the 30-yard line. It'd be about 5 yards short of the first down. Bobby Okereke with another. He's had several good tackles in the open field.
He really
tonight.
has, and that is outstanding with the distance we've seen between Turpin and Okereke in that situation. The ability to come up and settle. You see defenders always come up, and it's almost like they get nervous and they get out of control. Okereke, we've seen him do it a couple times tonight where he's gathered his feet and made a tackle.
Turpin is down, and John Diar's over checking on his teammate. And this one, I hope, is not as bad as it looks initially. Well, Kevontae Turpin has been a guy who has been a weapon in so many different areas for TCU, as we see the tackle by Okereke.
Ooh, he landed right on it.
Yeah.
I mean, all of his weight came down on that left ankle. It looked like on the backside right there.
Yep. Right one rolled a little bit too, but the left one
fully
took the worst of
too.
it. Yeah. Quint, what are you able to see?
Well, not good. I mean, he is in massive pain. They're working on his left knee. This is a young man who's absolutely, arguably, the most popular player on the team for TCU. Always smiling, appreciative, never had a bad day, and he's been really productive in terms of yards per touch this season, whether it's a return game or as a receiver, over 15 yards per touch. Back on his feet, it looks good, but he was in a whale of pain, Reese.
Yeah, Quint, that's certainly good news. You can see in the stands behind him all of the lights coming up from the TCU fans showing their support, and now giving Kevontae Turpin a hand as
he looks good.
He slaps hands with his teammates, and he's walking off the field under his own power.
Probably scares you. It scares you when you have something like that. You saw his leg was fully extended. It's like he's got something on his left knee anyways.
Kevontae's caught a couple touchdown passes, thrown a couple, returned a couple for scores this year. He's a versatile weapon. But now the third down for Kenny Hill.
Stanford has not brought pressure. Everything's been very easy for Kenny Hill. If I was them, I would bring some pressure and try to get to him fast.
And Phillips has gone to the outside hoping to get some. A pass to the outside and the first down. White makes another catch. He had the touchdown catch. Ball's out. Stanford trying to strip it away, and they do, and take it away after TCU had picked up the first down. Malik Antoine making the play over on the side as White didn't secure the ball.
And the Stanford defense needed a play. You could see TCU, even after losing all the yards on first down, got good yards and made it a 3rd and 4, and they have a first down going here, and they've been moving the ball these last 2 quarters very easily. Stanford's defense needed a play to get their confidence back and get off the field.
And how about nose for the ball from Frank Buncombe, who recovered the fumble after Antoine caused it. He has 2 interceptions and now a fumble recovery tonight.
And how about them on the season? Stanford's defense has struggled in so many areas. The one thing they've been great at is taking the football away, giving their offense now another opportunity to give a few more body blows.
The third takeaway, and they really should have 4. About the only thing that hasn't gone Okariki's way tonight. He dropped an interception opportunity. Love's hit in the backfield and might have gotten back to the line of scrimmage. Boson on the stop as we head down toward the half-minute mark to play here in the third quarter.
Boson's been playing great, by the way, just doing a great job. Understanding Love was trying to go backside with that. This is huge right here for TCU's defense. You can't help this when you get turnovers like this. It frustrates the crud out of you when you're a defense, when you're moving the ball and you're getting a little bit of a rest, but now they got to come up with some stops.
It's a couple of seconds different in the play clock and game clock. Stanford will have to snap it again, and they do. KJ Costello and Traven Howard arrived just as the ball did. He was looking for Dalton Schultz. That'll bring up a 3rd down as the third quarter comes to a close. The TCU defense needing to come up with a stop after the turnover. Stanford hoping it can land a devastating blow early in the fourth quarter. Stanford with a 31-23 lead. Love has a touchdown. Hill's fighting back. Fourth quarter's coming. On Saturday, we got a couple of terrific games. New Year's 6 games, Washington and Penn State, 4 o'clock Eastern time in the PlayStation Fiesta Bowl. Then at 8, it'll be Wisconsin and Miami in the Capital One Orange Bowl. Both games on ESPN, streaming live on the ESPN app. Opportunity to see Saquon Barkley, the veteran, Jonathan Taylor, the young running back from Wisconsin in those 2 games. And we're seeing a terrific one tonight in Bryce Love, though he's not on the field at the moment on this 3rd down and 10 to start the fourth quarter. Stanford on top of TCU by 8. KJ Costello with pressure in his face. He's looking for Arcega-Whiteside. Couldn't get the throw to him. It'll be 4th down.
It's another blitz by TCU. Since the first quarter, Gary Patterson has been sending blitzes at Costello to make sure he does not have a chance to stand in the pocket, get comfortable, and deliver the ball downfield, because the matchup is in Stanford's favor because their receivers are so tall.
And Boson's been balling. I mean, he's done a great job. You see number 9 flying all over the field. Leads the team in hurries this year and sacks. And he's been a problem for Stanford offensive line.
Well, Kavontae Turpin, who was hurt earlier, is back to receive the punt from Stanford. So TCU will lose some field position as Turpin really had to fight that ball carrying late, but he made the play. Fair catch. And they'll mark it at the 7-yard line. Turpin was fighting that one a bit.
When you're not used to catching punts in domes, a lot of times the lighting system, the roof, it messes with a guy's ability to judge punts coming down.
Great job by Irwin as well. Staying behind him, not getting that 2-yard protected area.
So now TCU, before that last fumble by Desmond White, was starting to move, so they lose a little over 30 yards in field position, but they get it back, still down by 8 early in the fourth quarter. Reese Davis, David Pollock, Joey Galloway, and Quint Kesnick, glad to have you with us from the Valero Alamo Bowl. Hill, just in front of his end zone, has a man out there. It is Rager, and he's off to the races. Nobody will catch him. "93 yards for the freshman."
Backed up out of your own end zone. That's what you like to do, take shots. And Rager smoked Murphy. He was 4 or 5 yards behind, an easy throw. How about the throw by Kenny Hill? Reese chasing points, you happy about this?
It's very early, but I would go ahead and do it now. The problem becomes if you don't make it here and Stanford scores a touchdown against a 2-possession game.
Yep.
Go either way here.
I'd kick it.
The conservative play is to kick it.
Because then you see Stanford go down and kick a field goal, and
field goal won't make that much of a difference. The touchdown's going to be the problem. That would make it a 2-possession game. But they've made their decision.
68.
Hill, throwback, has a man, and he absolutely dropped it. That was Garrett Altman, a guard who lines up at tight end. So they had a 2-point play, and another wrinkle, trickeration, goes against Gary Patterson.
And it wasn't an easy play. It's in his hands. When you're asking the big fella to run out here and make a fairly nice catch. And these plays, we used to see a quarterback lob it up and the guy standing there and he can just easily catch it. That's an athletic play needed to be made right there.
TCU down 2 after the 93-yard touchdown catch from Jalen Rager.
And this is just a simple go route. This is, we think we're faster than you are. This is Rager is a terrific athlete. Look at the speed. Murphy can't flip the hips. You cannot let an athlete like Rager run up on you and get even and then decide to flip your hips. Not even close.
What did Gary Patterson say at the half?
We're faster than they are.
Well, he was right about that guy.
He's faster than a lot of them.
Those strides, he were eating it up. How about this third quarter?
Now
third quarter and early in the
fourth.
fourth, we got 4 scores already.
2-point game is Cameron Scarlett. Scarlett pushes up across the 30-yard line, and it'll be good field position for the Cardinal. I mentioned this earlier tonight, especially in bowl season. You got to make sure that you have that ESPN app. You can stream every ESPN and ABC college football game live at home or on the go. Get access to scores, news, highlights. Maybe that guy with the Frog Fever sweatshirt, maybe he's doing it right now. If you don't have it on your phone, download the ESPN app, start streaming right now.
I wonder how healthy Bryce Love is for the fourth quarter. Last time we saw him, he's pounding the ground. He didn't look great coming off the field, and here he is in the fourth. We know how tough he is. We've seen him play hobbled before. Let's see if he can finish this game for Stanford.
69-yard touchdown run here in the second half. Here's Love. A terrific tackle.
That's a heck of a play.
Ennis Gaines, who's starting tonight for the injured Ridwan Izahaku.
He was gone, Reese. I mean, he had a crack. That's a heck of a play. See Ennis all the way to the left side of your screen. If he doesn't make this play, look at that. That's house call. Great job keeping the blocker off and then keeping outside leverage, understanding that ball's got to go inside. Nice play.
Costello has a lot of responsibility at the line of scrimmage. Stanford will call 3 plays at a time and count on the quarterback to get them in the right one. A lot of Horned Frogs back there to greet Love, and they stop him for maybe half-yard. Ball came out again. Let's see if he was down before. I think Stanford jumped on it anyway. That was A.T. Hall, the right tackle, getting back there. And they did say the ball came out. Let's have a look at it. There were a lot of frogs around, and Bryce got knocked around.
He's still on top of the body. Still, they haven't blown the whistle. They should have blown the whistle by now. You know what? You saw this a lot late in the season with him. him being banged up, protecting his ankle, he had a lot of fumbles against USC in the championship game and didn't lose them all, but put the ball on the turf a lot. Great job by Gaines stripping it out. That should have been forward.
That one should have been blown dead. That's a mistake by the officiating crew. He stopped and cost Stanford a lot of yards. 3rd down and 18. Pressure on Costello. Costello is knocked down. He gets up and run. That was L.J. Collier back there applying the heat, and Costello's had a lot of pressure from the Horned Frogs.
And Bandicoot came off the corner first. He came around that edge, and he made Costello step up in the pocket, and that is textbook how you rush a passer. You keep him in the pocket, you bring your ends around the corner, make him step up into the hands of everyone else. Yeah.
Costello was easily down.
Completely down, knee, side, elbow, and shoulder down.
You know what's great about that?
Not sure what that was.
Obviously, Collier's going to get the sack, but Bandicoot did an unbelievable job, like you said. It's the first sack of the day, by the way.
Maybe after that last play.
Wow.
Costello, I told you guys, Bailey, he'll flip that field. Here's White. Did he outkick his coverage? Here's White down the sidelines. White on the way. Another big play for TCU, and the Frogs have the lead. A 60-yard punt from Bailey. A 76-yard return from Desmond White, the senior from DeSoto, Texas.
And Reese, you can have a big punter if you want, and this is what I was trying to tell you. The distance that the punt returner has when he gets the ball in his hands is too great for your return team. And now there's a lot of room for an athletic guy to make some guys miss. And that's why White catches this ball and turns it up, and now all of a sudden he's out in space. Good punt returners love a punter with a big leg.
How about that high step at the end? That could have been called for a flag as well.
Easy.
I'm glad they didn't.
I'm just saying, they
come
do
on,
call
baby,
it.
Come on.
36-31.
That's what the coach is telling him right now, by the way.
Make sure you get into the end zone. The Frogs have their first lead of the game. High stepping into it. Got away with it. Got away with it.
Come on.
The Valero Alamo Bowl is fueled by Valero. Visit San Antonio. Plan your trip at visitsanantonio.com. And Franklin American Mortgage. It all begins with home.
You see the Alamo, one of the great tourist attractions. The Alamo Dome, not a bad attraction tonight either. TCU and Stanford Horned Frogs have the lead for the first time tonight. TCU has scored on its last 2 touches. A 76-yard punt return by Desmond White, the most recent one. Prior to that, a 93-yard touchdown pass from Kenny Hill to Jalen Rager. And Gary Patterson, who was last in this bowl 2 years ago and overcame a 31-0 deficit, was down 21-3 in this game. Thought the Frogs were going to sweat it out, and Gary's still sweating profusely. But he has a 5-point lead in the first lead of the night for Purple. Short kickoff. That's Maddox. Maddox getting it up close to the 25-yard line, and the second half has been filled with big plays.
And you can see Bryce Love, the ankle looks pretty good here. Hits the hole, squares shoulders, and then just the speed to outrun the defensive TCU to get in the end zone.
Yeah, and Rager said, you know what, you can run, but so can I. Look at those strides, just blows right by the corner. 90-something yard play. Just answering back with another big play. But you know what? We got more.
Too much space for a good punt returner. The big leg by Stanford, and then watch guys miss. Great blocking downfield. David, I wouldn't really call this a high step. This is just a little bit of swag going into the end zone. You can't call that in a bowl game.
That's a 10-yard high step,
that's
trip and stumble, whatever you call it.
Can't call that.
And now Stanford back to work, and TCU bottles up Love on first down. Patterson's defense allowing less than 100 yards per game rushing. Love now has 141 himself on the night. The 69-yard touchdown run, the longest run TCU has allowed this season. And Stanford's in need of some big plays to recapture the momentum that the Frogs have wrestled away. Costello steps up, arm hit. Only a couple of catches tonight by the Stanford tight ends. TCU's done a good job taking that away. Rico Evans, a former high school quarterback, and they're applying some pressure.
Reese, we still have not seen a deep ball by Stanford down the sideline, which I'm expecting in this game because TCU's blitzing now. And they've been blitzing for the past 2 quarters, and since they are, it's going to be man-to-man outside. You have the height advantage outside. Where's J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, your leading receiver? He's 6'3". He's down at the bottom. When are they going to take their shot downfield so they can get the ball in his hands?
Anthony Tejada giving him some space at the bottom of the screen. Whiteside is there. Tejada in the open field, and Whiteside Arcega beats him, and Tejada gets him by the shoestring, or that might have been an even bigger game.
Exactly what I said, Reese. Throw him the 5-yard route, just run it inside, and then see if he can turn it into a big play.
But you're right, though, because it's man coverage on the outside. You got 6'6", or 6'3" versus 5'10". That's a winnable matchup. I mean, it's not a great throw, by the way. He does a great job of reaching out and going back outside and making big plays, but you're right. It's a huge 5 inches difference out there. Make some plays with it.
Up 21 on 3rd and 8. Love and Scarlett in the backfield with Costello. Wheel, Scarlett's out there, and there's the running back again for the 2nd time tonight. Cameron Scarlett finally wrestled down, maybe eventually, inside the 20-yard line is Scarlett, who only had 4 catches all season, has 2 now tonight.
And just like we called it, the running backs are going to be all over the place. I'm being facetious. They don't throw the ball to the running backs very often. How about this? Fake it to Love, run the wheel route. You see there's some confusion at the linebacker spot.
That's because they're not used to covering the backs out the backfield.
No.
If they've watched film of Stanford, they're like, their backs aren't coming out to catch the ball, so why cover them? And if you're Stanford, great adjustment.
And Evans,
throw it to him.
Evans, you could see 7. He didn't know what was going on.
Running backs only had 14 catches coming into the night. TCU adjusts late. They had an uncovered receiver.
Same guy that was uncovered last time. See if you can find Parkinson up top. He's a huge target.
Here's the toss to Love. And he is wrapped up and treated rudely by Ross Blacklock, redshirt freshman. And a little extracurricular cleaning up going on, and the flag comes flying.
Who are they going to call that on, by the way? Because the Stanford lineman who was wrestling with Blacklock got shoved, but then he got shoved into a TCU defender.
Kim Williamson in the white hat sort it all out for us.
It's a lot of sorting. They got to call on a couple guys. You can't just call on one guy after all this sorting.
After the play was over, unsportsmanlike conduct, defense number 90, defense number 56. Offense number 54. That's the first unsportsmanlike conduct foul for each of those players. The down counts. It's 2nd down.
See, Blacklock pushes.
He pushes David Bright.
I'm not sure how Bright got called for anything there, but.
Well, watch here at the beginning. He kind of grabs him here. So
that's not illegal.
Yeah, that's
not illegal.
I don't think that's a big deal.
That's a push in the back. That's illegal.
That's why they were sorting, because they were really talking about there's really not much here.
Well, I don't see how Bright got a call against him, period.
Well, you got 2nd and 8. Basically a no harm, no foul call, and whistles. And TCU
prior to the snap, timeout.
Uses a timeout.
First timeout of the half.
Gary not pleased with the way the defense reacted to the call. TCU's up 5 in the 4th. College football playoff semifinals, New Year's Day. We'll start the Rose Bowl, Oklahoma and Georgia. Baker Mayfield against Roquan Smith and that dog D. And then for the third straight year in the postseason, this time in the semi. And the All-State Sugar Bowl, number 1 Clemson, number 4 Alabama. Both games also on ESPN Deportes and streaming live on the ESPN app. Stanford is in the red zone where they are 4 for 4 with 3 touchdowns tonight. That's 75% in touchdowns against a TCU team that was second in the country in red zone defense and touchdowns allowed. Allowing TDs only 37% of the time, and the Frogs hoping to force a field goal attempt this time. Cardinal with other ideas behind Bryce Love. Love gets inside the 15 before he's stood up and knocked down third down coming.
This will be interesting. Start. There's Love coming off the field. Looks like his shoulder this time or something. Dragging his left arm. This will be interesting here because it could be 4-down territory, so you could still run the football, but now no Bryce Love makes a big difference.
What would you do here, Joey?
I've been waiting on these shots to the outside. Now on third down, TCU has their safeties back. Both safeties back in this situation, so it's going to be tougher. But I've been waiting on the size disadvantage from Stanford's favor to throw the ball. In this situation, I might run it.
They are going to throw it underneath. Got his man, the freshman Weddington again, and it's a first down.
And Weddington, when they put him in the game, he's made big plays. You saw him in the backfield. Now you see him at wide receiver. He is a playmaker. You've seen him. He's got really good speed. They use him, do a good job. Use the tight ends as a decoy. Slot receiver does a great job. Understands it's man. Kind of picks him naturally. Now you're inside the 5, where you were at in the Pac-12 championship game in the fourth quarter when you needed to be able to pound the ball straight ahead, and you couldn't do it. So let's see if Stanford can do it this time.
You got those big fellas up in front of Cameron Scarlett. Nick Wilson, 54 in the backfield, along with the natural fullback Daniel Marks. Scarlett. Nope.
I don't like going that big from the 4-yard line. You're trying to that is a 1-yard grouping. You know what I mean? You need some inches. You need 1 yard. You bring in all these big guys, and you get that 1 yard. You're trying to do it from the 4-yard line. It's not a play where you're going to break it and get big yards out of it. I don't like that on first down. If they get down to a 4th and 1, it makes sense. 1st and 4, I don't like it.
Well, now they changed personnel, so. A little more speed on the field, get a few more guys out of the box. Now you got Parkinson out wide.
By the way, Parkinson down low is 6'7".
Yes.
This guy is 6'7" down low.
So how does 5'10"? He's got help though on the inside. You see Small.
Small is 5'10" too.
Costello throwing it up. Incomplete. Third down coming. Tejada and Nico Small.
That was awesome. Smart defense. Great job. You saw Parkinson posted up, but you saw Small take away the inside.
But a bad throw. I mean, quite honestly, Parkinson's still 6'7". Let him go down there and throw it up. I don't care if you got 2 guys down there that are 5'10". Give him a shot with the ball.
We saw Love leave the game a moment ago. He is inside that Stanford medicine tent being checked on. The Heisman runner-up not on the field on a big 3rd and goal play, and play clock's running down, and Shaw and the Cardinal will take the timeout to make sure they have the right play call. Now this is the play in which Love carried the ball last, took a pretty big shot. You know he's had the problem with the ankle, but he took a big shot to the upper body as well, Quint.
Reese, that's what it appeared to be at first. The issue, though, was blood coming from his thumb, and a lot of it, too. So they've taken him inside the tent right now, where his right thumb was bleeding profusely. And their medical staff is working on his hand right now. And you see the guys outside with new gloves that they're getting ready to put on Bryce Love, who's inside that tent, and he's not available, it appears, for this 3rd down play.
All right, Quint, I'm telling you, that young man has taken a beating this season and tonight, and continues to come back and make plays. 145 yards, couple of touchdowns.
And he's a light guy. I mean, that's what you worry about, him running between the tackles at 196 pounds. And obviously you've seen the touches tonight. He's already got 26 rush attempts, so you're gonna feed him a lot. That's what happens. You get dinged up.
Now you're trying to use the size on the outside. Again here, we've seen Arcega White catch a Arcega-Whiteside catch a couple of touchdown passes.
They've had success with the under route, and probably because TCU is thinking that they're going to try to use their size and throw up the fade. They've had some success with the under route in this situation, and now you got Whiteside to the right side, who's 6'3", and again Parkinson up to your left side, who's 6'7". So you're getting the matchups that you want because it is man-to-man down low to Whiteside, who is your #1 receiver.
They put Smith in the slot, though, which now gets a big body in the slot, takes away the double team out wide.
They throw it up. Arcega-Whiteside fights for the ball. Flag comes in, and he just beat Ranthony Tejada for the touchdown, his 3rd touchdown catch of the night.
There's the throw. There's the throw that Costello wanted to make on the earlier down. Let Whiteside get there and post up. Let him get set. This isn't a timing route. Let him get set.
Tejada grabbed him, held him, interfered with him, still couldn't stop him.
Take his shirt off, it doesn't matter. And you've seen him do that all year long. That's nothing new. Strong hands, just a big body. Now Stanford goes with 2.
Well, they have to try to make it a field goal game, so
now you should.
It's funny, the missed extra point by TCU and then the missed 2-point conversion eventually forces Stanford now to go for the 2-point play. Why wouldn't you go right back to the size on the outside?
First of all, I love what they did. David Shaw was a great job putting Smith, the tight end, in the slot, so now you can't double team Arcega-Whiteside outside. Does it again. So now you can't double team the big fella. So now look for Caden Smith, 82, in the slot because they've got Smalls out wide.
Right back at it. And that time they were looking for Smith, and it was a little too tall, and it's a 1-point lead for the Cardinal. Back and forth, back and forth. Stanford with the answer. Costello to Arcega-Whiteside. Stanford back on top. That glove might be a collector's item. It belongs to Bryce Love. The blood on it his from the right thumb that he injured, but his team able to get the go-ahead touchdown without him as he remains inside the medical tent being attended to for that laceration and
you know what this
bloody
means, right?
hand.
There'll never be any tents on the sidelines with holes in them on the side. Now everybody will make sure it's completely enclosed and you can't see anything. That kid's been tough, hasn't he? Look at that, swollen. Look, he's still leaking blood.
Still looks like it's still dripping off there. 37-36. Stanford once had a 21-3 lead in this game. TCU looked lethargic, mistake-ridden. Frogs got back in it, but Stanford has shown toughness as well. 76-yard touchdown drive to let them regain the lead. And the difference at the moment is after a couple of missed conversion attempts, both with 2-point misses and TCU with a missed kick. That missed kick turns out to be the difference in the game. Coming up on SportsCenter with Scott Van Pelt, Bryce Love's big season, and he's hoping to finish it off with a win here tonight. We'll talk about this game and a test for NBA title contenders, the Rockets and the Celtics. And as only SVP can, the top, moments of 2017. That's all coming up immediately following the Valero Alamo Bowl here from San Antonio. And we've got to finish.
You don't want to be in the second half fight with TCU, do you, at the Alamo Bowl?
Not here. Oregon 2 years ago squandered a 31-0 lead at halftime to lose in triple overtime to TCU. Frogs hoping for more heroics. Underneath and complete. And there in space goes Jalen Reagor. Reagor, who had the big touchdown catch of 93 yards earlier. Now well over 100 yards receiving on the night.
Stanford at some point is going to have to decide if they want to keep giving that up or play some man coverage because underneath stuff has killed them.
Here's Desmond White. White scored every which way tonight, with the exception of a run. He's thrown a touchdown pass, returned a punt for a touchdown, and caught a touchdown pass from Kenny Hill.
And they haven't touched Kenny Hill in a long time. Kenny Hill has had a chance to stand in the pocket, deliver balls downfield. The offensive line has been outstanding after the first quarter. Once they started to run the ball, it gives them a chance to give different looks to the defensive line. Sometimes they tee off, sometimes they pass block. D-line doesn't know what's coming, and the offensive line has played so much better once they got on a roll.
Frogs have 2 tight ends in the game. Hill, Alanalua. Shewo into Stanford territory down to the 45. He'll need about 4 more for the first down. Second down coming.
All these backs need to hold on to the football.
A little loose with that one.
Hold on to the football. This is the only thing stopping you really has been turnovers. The Stanford defense doesn't have answers. You just can't make those mistakes. Kenny Hill doing a good job being patient. Back needs 2 hands on the football when they're running the ball.
Then you wonder about teams that go fast-paced on offense. When they get to the end of games, when they want to start taking time off the clock, does it mess with their rhythm?
Kenny Hill has completed his last 8. To the ground now. Alanalua, first down and more, and running through defenders, and taking the worst of that one was Frank Buncombe. Frank has 2 interceptions and a fumble recovery tonight, but boy, he took a shot from the big running back from TCU.
Look at this O-line work. I mean, this is man-to-man blocking. You don't see double teams, and then you see delivering the blow at the end of this play.
And that's a big man, 6'3", 225 pounds. Good toughness, but pop back up.
Buncombe, maybe got those molars rattled a little bit, getting some water. And Justin Reed, their fine safety, has been out of the game. Now Buncombe going to the sideline. Stanford earlier this season lost cornerback Elijah Holder. So they've had some attrition.
Justin Reed tonight.
In the secondary, yeah, I mentioned that.
Yeah.
Back to the ground, Alanalua squirts through inside the 25, and another first down for TCU, and it looks like Stanford's starting to get worn down a little bit on defense.
They got nothing for him. They got no answers. Kenny Hill's been throwing the ball. Now they're lining up and powering the football, but yeah, they don't rotate a ton of bodies. They don't have that kind of depth. Playing a lot of snaps. That's almost 500 yards of offense to 360 for Stanford, so that offense has been cooking.
There's a blitz. There's finally Stanford brings a blitz. Kenny Hill too confident in the pocket, too comfortable. They're running the ball. The offensive line playing nicely. Finally, Stanford sends a blitz. We got to shake things up.
Hill did well to get rid of it. Didn't take the sack or turn it over, which TCU has done 3 times tonight. Snaps Hill's streak of 8 straight completions, but Frogs just inches away from the red zone. In field goal range, which would give them the lead. Is just over 4.5 minutes to play here in San Antonio. Back to the ground. This time it's Hicks. Hicks down to the 15.
No hurry, chewing a little bit of clock.
This is a big 3rd down right here because you'd like to be able to go and score the touchdown. Obviously, a field goal leaves you vulnerable to the Cardinal answering with a field goal in the waning moments.
They see pressure.
Look at the body language on Harrison Phillips inside. He is gassed right now.
Hands on
he
hips.
is dead tired.
Hill to Hicks. Can Hicks get there? No, he cannot. 4th down coming, and a terrific stop by the Stanford defense. Mike Tyler from his outside linebacker position, filling in for Joey Alfieri, who was injured and has not played tonight. And Tyler made a big stop with some help from Jordan Perez.
And it was a great job. You saw Stanford saw, or TCU saw the blitz. They checked the screen they wanted to, but great pursuit from the inside out. And that's what you want for Stanford. TCU, this is what you want, right? You got a shot to take the lead now and put your defense on the field. It's played pretty well.
Cole Bunce will try to give TCU the lead from 33 yards out. He's made one from 38 tonight. Bunce on the way. Frogs back on top by a deuce. Now, isn't this what it should come down to? 3:07 to go. The head coach of Stanford runs the offense. The head coach of TCU runs their defense, and we'll see if they can get a stop after the third lead change in the fourth quarter. And all the Cardinals need to take the lead is a field goal.
And Coach Shaw's about to go back in his tent and find out about Bryce Love. and that's why football's a crazy sport. We've seen Bryce Love hobbled last 5 games on 1.5 ankles, and it's a thumb.
Now,
hobbled tonight, has a great game, and it's a thumb that takes him off the field.
Gary needs a good drink. This is
some Gatorade, get some electrolytes in him.
You got to stay hydrated to the very end. At the Alamo Bowl, Capital One Bowl Mania continues Friday at 1 and 4:30 on ESPN. Wake Forest and Texas A&M in the Belt Bowl. That one comes up first at 1. Then the Franklin American Mortgage Music City Bowl, Kentucky and Northwestern meeting of Wildcats. A couple of great matchups starting at 1 o'clock Eastern time. You know, Kentucky can win 8 games for just the 3rd time in more than 3 decades. But boy, Pat Fitzgerald's team really played well after a slow start to the season. One of those Big Ten SEC matchups in Nashville. And now here comes Cameron Scarlett. And Scarlett will be stopped about the 25-yard line. 3 minutes and a second to go. Stanford needs to move it down and get into field goal range. Cardinal, a couple of timeouts to go. And Bryce Love has 145 yards tonight, couple of touchdowns. This is the play on which he got hurt and thumb was bleeding. They've kept him in that tent, trying to make sure that the blood has been stopped. See Harrison Phillips headed in there, perhaps to check. And at the running back is Spates right now. Trevor Spates is in there behind KJ Costello.
He's a better back for this situation, better pass protecting.
How much fun's this been, huh?
It's awesome. Better get it snapped. Nope.
Play of game, offense, 5-yard penalty, remains first down.
Costello taking the delay of game penalty, so that'll make it a little bit worse. First down and 15, Cardinal from their own 20. Saw them have success in the last drive using the size advantage on the outside. Can Costello do that again? Throwing inside to Irwin and breaking on the ball nicely is Tejada. Stanford sideline wanted a flag on Tejada, but he got there and knocked it away from Irwin. Quint, what do you have for us?
Bryce Love is still in the tent. He's back up on his feet. It looks like they've stitched up his right thumb, but he's unavailable right now. Could be any second, but unavailable right now.
Well,
he's out of the tent.
Just emerged from the tent. Quint has his helmet in his hand and headed up, I would imagine, to ask his way into this game. Costello throwing to Irwin. Tejada there to make the stop after a short gain. 3rd down and 10 coming. Clock running. Inside 2:45 to play.
And the biggest thing is protecting Costello. They're not doing it consistently. Watch TCU, they've been stunting their front line up front and bringing somebody off the edge every single time.
See Love up and down the sideline, hoping he gets a chance. Flag flies.
Prior to the snap, false start, offense number 75. 5-yard penalty, it remains 3rd down.
Couple of 5-yard penalties when Stanford could least afford it. False start on A.T. Hall, the right tackle senior from Glendale, Arizona.
Well, and you think of Stanford, you think of not making mistakes like that, being smart. 2 offensive penalties before the ball was even snapped on this possession.
Stanford in need of a first down, hoping perhaps to get Bryce Love back on the field. Right now, more pressing is to get that first down any way they can. Costello throwing it in the middle, and it's intercepted if he held it. And it's gained.
get in a 3rd and long in a situation where you have to pass the ball against a Gary Patterson defense, that is playing right in his hand. A man under situation, you have to go over top of the front guy, but the safety is behind to give help. So there's always going to be a defender playing back. He's underneath. It's going to be a tough throw.
How many times have you seen this ball this season if you've watched Stanford and their receivers go and make a great play for him and bail Costello out? That time, Gaines had none of it. Great coverage. Way to play the football, not let the big tight end come back and make a play for his quarterback.
In a man under situation, you got a better chance with an out-breaking route. The guy's underneath. He's going to lay back. If you break out, you got a chance at getting open.
Pretty good time for Gaines' first pick of the season. Now on the ground with Hicks as TCU is to hang on to the football and try to run this out. And once again, for the 2nd time in 3 years in their only 2 trips to the Valero Alamo Bowl, rally from a big deficit and come out with a victory against a Pac-12 team. Gary Patterson undefeated against the Pac-12, 5-0 all time, 2-0 against Stanford. Trying to make it a perfect half dozen if TCU can hang on for another minute 54. There is reason to fear the Frog as this senior class, if they can hold on to this, would notch their 40th victory in their career.
Well, and they've answered the bell, man. I mean, getting down. Gary Patterson's a confident dude. You've seen him make adjustments on defense. They've done a great job not giving up the bigger plays. This TCU team is always going to fight. They're scrappy. That's who they are. That's what they are. You turn on the tape and you see undersized guys. How do they match up with Stanford? Because they fight their guts out every single play.
I believe what they say in those parts is they fight them till hell freezes over, and then they fight them on the ice.
Yep.
And Reese, take a look inside. You see that defensive line, they're worn down. We haven't said Harrison Phillips' name in a long time. He's been tired. The offensive line has been on him, and he's not bringing the same pop that we've seen from him all season long.
He's been the most productive interior defensive lineman in the country and just one of the most productive defensive linemen, period. Likely his last game at Stanford. Alano, who's really played well tonight. This is a guy who has been challenged by Patterson to fulfill his vast physical potential, and he played well against Baylor, and he has played well tonight as Patterson is celebrating as that first down ought to do it for the Frogs.
And how about TCU in a 2 tight end set pounding Stanford to end the game? We thought it was going to be the other direction. We thought Stanford would line up and be the team that would be more physical. TCU, 2 tight ends in the ball game, running the ball late, doing what they need to do.
I know usually we give player of the game to an athlete on the outside, maybe a quarterback, but that offensive line, I mean, up front, those 5 guys blocking man-to-man situation has absolutely worn down the Stanford defensive line.
And a decision coming for Bryce Love after this, and he can come back to Stanford. And most of the draft projections have him early 2nd round, maybe late 1st. I talked to Bryce about this earlier this week, and you know, while certainly I'm sure he's not human if he hasn't thought of it some, but he said that hadn't spent a lot of time thinking about it yet, that he would take everything into consideration once this game was over. He wanted to finish the season right. He did that, 145 yards tonight. This single season for Love is the best in Stanford history for rushers, and they've had great running backs, McCaffrey, Gerhardt, and over the years, Stephon Taylor. Kenny Hill takes the knee, and TCU's going to run out the last minute 40. Tune in to ESPN3 for the post-game trophy ceremony presented by Capital One that is immediately following the game. That trophy is going to be handed to that man, barring some type of unforeseen meltdown by the Horned Frogs in the final minute 20.
And Reese, part of that decision for Love, can he get healthy before, if he decides to come out and he has to work out for scouts and NFL teams and the combine coming up, how healthy can he get to put on a good show for the NFL scouts?
Tell you what, he's shown toughness. I know that.
Tonight's Capital One player of the game is the TCU senior quarterback who wanted to finish it in style, and Kenny Hill has. He's accounted for 4 touchdowns, a couple through the air.
Almost 400 yards.
Ran for a touchdown.
Can we give the O-line something? You got anything else in your pocket for the O-line?
Reese does, yes. Reese has plenty in his pocket for the O-line.
The O-line has been outstanding.
The graduated guys, Reese, you can go take care of.
Something, Reese.
How about for how he started, though? Because he started the game
very poorly.
Really poorly, throwing across his body, making a couple really bad decisions, but stayed the course. They started running him, and then you saw everything else came to life.
I'll tell you, I think Desmond White deserves a little bit of that, too. Gary didn't change shirts at halftime. He stayed the course, and he gets that purple shirt doused, and it might be a little chilly at the moment, but it feels good. Two coaches who have established not just good teams, but terrific programs embrace. The final ticks going off the clock here in San Antonio as TCU wasn't a 31-point deficit this time, but a 18-point deficit. They overcome. They win at 39-37. Quint Kesnick down on the field.
Coach, congratulations. What was going through your mind down 21-3?
Well, we just keep playing. Nothing went our way. And so for us, it was just about keep playing. That's what I told him at half. I told him at half, nothing's gone your way, and it's 21-10, so keep playing.
Were you tempted to change your shirt, Coach?
Yes.
What made the difference in the second half?
Well, number one, we moved the ball and we scored. Two, defense, we got some stops.
Your seniors, how do you best describe their careers? 40 wins.
40 wins. This is 160, 40 wins, and really unbelievable, just an unbelievable group. They've overcome a lot of things. So.
Thank you, Coach. Congratulations. Another Alamo comeback, Reese.
And Quint, Gary's going to get to rest that voice, get the singing voice in shape during the offseason. And Bryce Love, biology major, perhaps an aspiring doctor, opportunity to the NFL perhaps awaits. Was this his last game in a Stanford uniform? As you see him talking with Matt Boson, a terrific performance, hampered by injury in the latter stages of the season. 145 yards and a couple of touchdowns.
Nothing was easy for him. I mean, TCU made it very difficult for him, but how about Kenny Hill, more importantly? I mean, just unbelievable job, what he's been through, battling back and fighting for his team.
And again, I'm going to stick with the offensive line and how well they played for three quarters.
39-37, TCU went to SportsCenter with Scott Van Pelt coming up next. Be sure to tune into the postgame trophy ceremony presented by Capital One. Coming up next on ESPN3 for our entire crew. I'm Reese Davis. Good night from San Antonio.